Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism back with another live video in full effect. It's live if it's July 2nd at 6:51 p.m. Pacific time. If not, well, then you're watching this late. I'm going to check and make sure that my volume is going through, so give me a second. I do have sound issues often, so I'll wait till somebody in the chat says they can hear me, and then we will move on from there. I do have a guest with me, so we'll also check and make sure that we can hear him, but let's make sure we hear me first, and then we will begin. So hope you guys are doing well. Hope everybody in the chat is doing well. Thank you for joining me and all that fun stuff. And thank you for watching my video I put out early this morning. And if you notice how early it was this morning, and then you watch the video real carefully, you'll actually find a point in there where I slept talked, if you ever heard of that before. But it's pretty funny. Let me see if everybody hears me. So does everybody hear me okay? I don't know if they do or don't. Could be louder. Your volume is very loud. The one person says your volume is very loud. The next person says could be louder.
Oh,
all right.
It's like science.
Joining me is Curious Jay. He's got a YouTube channel. Go ahead and say hi, Curious, and we'll see if everyone can hear you.
What's up, Jaron? How are you? Can the chat room hear me at this volume?
Hopefully everyone says loud and clear, but can you hear the guest okay?
I hear, yeah, can you guys hear the guest?
Audio is good. All right. Good, we can hear you. Beautiful. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us. So, awesome. Yes, that's awesome. And if you don't know who he is, he's got a channel, Curious Jay. And if you want to hear us talk besides this, you can tune in to last week's Monday Night Raw at truthfrequencyradio.com. And we had a 3-hour show last week, and that is free still up until tomorrow. At which point the next show comes on, and that will also be with you. So if you want to hear,
right,
you can also listen tomorrow. He's just somebody who's been doing a lot of experiments and talking about the stars and filming them. So go ahead and tell everybody, a little bit about yourself and where they can find your channel.
Yeah, it's over at Curious Jay, and I am nowhere near the mega video producer that you guys are. And I stand in awe of people like yourselves and the production that you guys put out. It's been awesome. It's been an awakening for me. I didn't get a chance to say that last week, but it's been such an awakening for me, and I applaud that. So I put out a video every now and then whenever there's something I feel needs to be put out. And one of the things that that we talked about last week on Raw, and that I sent you originally when we first started talking was the dome magnifying glass.
Yep.
And just how telling it is. And I don't know if it's okay if I back up a little bit, but the reason that one of the things that really compelled me to buy that was the fact that, just like you, Jaron, there's been so many, it's like they're ace in the hole, the globe side. Well, what about the southern stars going the opposite direction? How do you explain that? And, it's tough to explain. And then what gave me the idea to order one of those things was I was watching a video by a guy, I'm going to need to look it up, but I think his name was Josh or Joshua. And he was doing some experimental stuff with a dome-shaped mirror that was showing how it could possibly curve where these stars were going. And I was like, well, how can I get curved glass? And I got on Amazon and it was like, because I put dome glass or something in. And I found the magnifying glass and got one. And my jaw dropped when I first got it, and I put it over a spiral. I made a spiral on my printer, put that down on the table, looked at it, and saw that if you looked at it from certain directions towards the outer rim, I don't want to say south right. But if you looked at it towards the south, the outer rim of the dome, you would see the spiral start to form into another spiral and go the different direction. And it was just like, whoa. And never once did I think, oh, this is it. This is why the stars go backwards. But as a debater, I grew up as a debater, and one of the things that always bothered me with the lunar eclipse and the southern stars going a different direction was the fact that, just because something explains something doesn't mean it's the reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the stars going backwards works on a globe Earth does not mean that that is the reason for it. You know, same thing with the lunar eclipse. Just because a round shadow eclipses the moon, it does not mean that that is the Earth's round shadow.
Right.
But, you know, you do have to come up with something else it could be, you know, hypothetically. So when I saw that the trails went a different direction, yeah, that just kind of blew my mind. Not saying that's what it is, but wow.
Right. And I wanted to get into that real quick just to kind of cover that because, you know, I can't do anything more than I've been doing, which is in every video I make sure I say, this is my opinion. I'm not claiming this to be fact. I'm not claiming this to be the truth. That's what science does, and that's what I don't like. That I'm trying to get to the truth, and sometimes if you've been lied to, you've got to throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. And as I said in the description and in the video, that I just got that dome glass piece in the mail yesterday or day before, and Friday, whatever Friday was. And when I got it, I spent all day just playing with it, and I filmed some stuff and just said, you know, I want to make a video of this because I want people to go get one, because I realize that I cannot find everything by myself, nor do I claim that I've ever found anything. I mean, it's just, I wanted people to see that, hey, here's a new thing. And I also noticed, and we can show this, actually, I'll show people what I've got here. Well, first, I've got my telescope right now lined up to the moon. Let me show you this. So I'm actually looking at the moon right now out the window. And the
beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful?
Beautiful moon.
Actually, it's a paper plate. So I just wanted to show people that it's just a paper plate. So.
What? Oh!
But
no, he didn't.
What I've got lined up over here on the side is I'm going to try and show this live, what we're doing with that little domed glass. And I've also got some lasers, and we can play with it a little bit. But the crazy thing about it is it solved all the star problems in one swoop. And what I mean by that, and I don't mean it's the truth, what I'm saying is you've got every globe believer that there's ever been who uses the southern stars as the end-all be-all. It means that we live on a globe, and what I tried to show in the video, and granted I started making it last night about 11, and by the time I was done it was like 5 this morning. And at some point in the video, I said something about a T-shirt or something. That was like sleep talking. I was that tired.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was good. It's like really good.
Bonus.
It's a good thing I didn't say anything else. Anyway, and that video was just meant, as I said, that, hey, these are just some interesting observations because they show so much incredible things. Well, the go-to excuse for the Earth, and we listened to Voice of Reason say it, and I put on a video from Cool Hard Logic, where they both lay out the flat Earth and they say, well, you've got two people on different ends of the Earth. They both see the same southern stars. It's impossible. They said geometrically impossible.
Yeah.
The other one said it cannot happen. And what I was showing is by just taking a piece of glass and angling it correctly, all of a sudden, all of that went away. So all of a sudden, it is possible. It's not.
It can happen.
It can happen. Doesn't mean it is happening. But I thought by showing that, I'm showing, and it even says, if you look at the screen now, I use the same graphic. It says Southern Star Trails, ? You know, it's meant to be like, is this how they work? And I thought it was incredible because, number one, I've been working on this for 2.5 years. The star trails have been an issue. We've gotten close a couple times. David Weiss and I have talked about it. Cathexis and I have talked about it. And every time we get to somewhere where there's one little piece that kind of seems to not fit. And one of the incredible things is there is no southern pole star. And
exactly, yeah. That was what blew my mind as well, Jaron.
Yeah, and I've always kind of held close to that, thinking, okay, well, it could just be something from our perspective that's causing stars to, go around nothing. And so that's when I saw this, the glass piece. What happens is that people on different sides of the Earth, and by the way, it's never, they keep pointing out those 3 locations, but those 3 locations are never at night at the same time. So there's,
correct.
So there's never 2 people on different ends of the Earth seeing the same sky. It's 2 people on like a third or a quarter of the globe or the circle that are seeing it. And what that means is that if they're both looking up in the same direction and it's creating a new orbit of the stars going the other way around, that they would both see that same thing from their perspective, only they would see the stars in different locations, which is exactly what happens in reality. Plus, they're orbiting around no star, which is exactly what happens in reality. Plus,
Right.
they're reversing their direction, which is exactly what happens in reality. So for all the comments I've already seen of people saying, you don't know what you're talking about, this isn't real, you didn't do it right. Well, what I just showed is exactly what happens in reality. I was able to model it, something I haven't seen any
That's right.
globe believer do in any fashion at all. And
They don't do that.
no, they just cheerlead. They just cheerlead the globe all day long. They don't do any observations, and it's because they don't want to, because they think it's all been done for them. And the difference is,
Correct.
you know, if you're happy with the current model, that's fine. I understand why you might be. The problem is I don't want to be lied to. I don't want someone just to tell me that I'm good looking, and then, you know, I look in the mirror and I look like, you know, a dog. You know, I want the truth. You know, that's what people want. You don't want to be fluffed up. You don't want oh, you live in this magical universe with all these planets you'll never see and all this distance you'll never travel. And okay, if that's the truth, then it's the truth. But if it's not, then I want to explore that. And like I said in that video, the saddest thing to me is that we're doing science, and I can't stand I'd say more than anybody. I would even rather hang out with Red's Rhetoric than to hang out with Cool Hard Logic. I cannot watch those videos because I've never heard somebody that just talks down to people and demeans them and every possible word you can, you know, the shitstorm that's their brains, you know, it's just, okay, that's great. If you think you're so smart, and then you can just come out. It's not like you discovered the stuff you're explaining. You read it in books. Somebody else discovered it. Somebody else is telling you, but you're coming across as if you're a genius because you can read. I mean, that's not impressive. You know, a 6-year-old can read. So, I mean, it's not really that impressive. And to just call people names when we're out there doing science, we're out there doing research, and you guys are so boxed in to it has to be the way that we've been told, and there can be no other options. That is not scientific. That is a religion.
Yeah.
That's dogmatic. It's like you have a doctrine that you have to go by. There's no dissenting allowed. You can't look into anything that's already been discovered. How they don't see that is the absolute sign of a religion? It's
Right.
crazy to me. So I just wanted to say.
I want to.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeremy.
No, shoot.
Yeah, I wanted to add something to your list because, you know, you were going through the list of things that it explained, you know, as far as what we see in reality, right?
Right.
So one of the things I like to do is I anytime I think anyone's onto anything is I try to play devil's advocate, right? Well, what's the globe side going to say to this? And I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. If they're going to try to disprove this, you know, one of the things they could say is, well, if indeed that southern spiral is a reflection, then why aren't we seeing the same constellations just mirrored, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why isn't there a Big Dipper but mirrored? Well, first of all, and I was like, oh, but then I realized, wait a minute. So it wouldn't be all the way to Polaris because, like you said, it's not rotating around a central star. But what you get when you look closely at it is the southern hemisphere section of the rotation of the stars is distorted, which makes it look like that they're further away. So in other words, give me two stars. I don't know, Sirius and Betelgeuse. If they're like, well, no, I mean, Sirius and Betelgeuse are, you know, clearly this size and this distance apart. When looked at it through that through that magnifying dome, it distorts their distance and their size.
Mm-hmm.
So that one would think that is not the same constellation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, in other words, like they would say, well, if it's a mirror reflection, then we should be able to see an upside down backwards Little Dipper and an upside down backwards such and such. But if the very notion that the dome, like you showed in your video, is distorting distances and sizes, then no, you wouldn't see that.
Oh, I mean, if from my perspective, I don't think that that's what's happening. I think here's how I picture it, because I wouldn't even say that I think that there's a dome. I would say that we are under an atmosphere that acts
Right.
a lot like that glass thing. The problem with the glass
Yes.
thing is that it's very, very small. So you have to imagine we're looking from the outside of it, you know, and looking into it. But really, in reality, we would be living in it. So
Correct.
it's distorted because we're looking through several layers. But if you're actually in there looking up at the sky, then you're not seeing it distorted. So I don't think it's a reflection. In fact, I think the outside stars that are rotating around are what you're seeing, but the way that you're looking at them, they're showing going the opposite way. And we'll show that in a little bit. And I also found something else today. I didn't even, if I would have been able to show this yesterday, I would have. When I turn that dome upside down, and I put it
Yeah.
flat side down on my iPad and look through it from the top. Wait till you guys see what happens. Maybe I'll show that real quick if I can get this up 1 second. But let me just finish off what I was saying real quick, and then I'll go to that. Basically, I also wanted to say, because I've seen a lot of comments, and it's just something I've realized the last week or so, that regarding all the haters and the naysayers, and I did a video about comments that and I got a lot of emails and people saying, don't give them that kind of platform, don't allow them, and I totally agree, because there's a ton of naysayers and globers, etc. But earlier this year, my wife and I did the rice experiment, and I think that you guys need to all do it, and everybody who's listening to this, please do it. I had somebody ask me, why didn't you do a video? And I said, because if I did a video, it's an easy experiment to fake, because nobody is looking when you're not filming what's happening throughout the month. So I don't want any accusations of that, and I'd rather people just do it themselves. And that way they can prove it to themselves. And you just cook some rice, white rice, measure exactly a cup of it and put it in a jar, close the jar, and then put another scoop in another jar and close the jar. So now you've got 2 jars, exact same amount of cooked rice. Mark one love, mark one hate, and put them in separate rooms. And then set your alarm for 4 o'clock every day. And when that alarm goes off, make sure you get up and go yell profanity, tell it it's ugly, tell it's a piece of junk to the hate rice. And then tell the love rice, go coddle it and tell it you love it. After a month, after just 1 month, the hate rice will be a soupy, disgusting mess, and the love rice will look edible. Now when I say that, I'm saying that because it's the truth. So I want you all to go do it. I'm not saying it because I'm trying to trick you or whatever. Do it, because guess what? It'll prove to you why the elite push certain narratives into the news. It'll prove to you why they allowed the internet. A lot of people say in this truth community, well, why did they ever allow the internet if we're allowed to communicate like this? Well, because also if you look at the comment sections, it's full of hate. It's full of disgusting comments and calling people's wives' names and people's families' names. Well, guess what? All that does, and if you've ever been in a comment like that, it breeds hate in you. You become angry at that person, and that is what everybody feels. I mean, we're a nature of our environment. So in saying that, go ahead and do the rice experiment. You'll realize that, I wouldn't be shocked when my wife and I found that out. We make a point to say to each other every day, and everybody knows this, when you're dating or when you're just married, it's all about, oh, you look so sexy and how great, and it's all about courting the other person. And then when you've been
it's that
married,
honeymoon phase,
right? And then after about 2 years, I still love my wife more than anything, but we've gotten away a little bit from talking to each other like that. Well, we realize that is, it's the same thing as the love and the hate rice. If you argue with your wife, if you yell and scream at each other and that stuff, you're just building that environment in the house. And so since we learned that experiment, I mean, when my dog barks, a lot of people get mad, like, your dog always barks in the back. I used to tell him, shut up, Buster, shut up, shut up, shut up. And I realized that all I'm doing is putting that vibe into the air and probably breaking him down just like I break down the rice. So from now on, when he barks, I go out there and pet him and throw him a bone a few times and kind of treat it that way. And same thing with my wife. We make a point every day to say how good each other looks and nice things to each other. I mean, perhaps the reason we all die is because when you get old, people treat you like you're old. If you ever think about that, like, it's the same thing as the hate rice. If you kind of get treated like you're old, you get treated like you're decrepit, you get treated like you're sick. So that's something I'm exploring, but I'm just putting it out there because I want people to realize that with the comments in my comment section, that if you have something to say that is like, you don't think I'm doing an experiment right, or you think I should have done it a certain way, that's fine. I don't mind dissent. You can say that you disagree with me all day long, every day. Doesn't matter. Many of my members of my family disagree with me. So it's not that we hate each other now and we cuss each other out or I don't associate with them. It's that we talk about it. We make our points known. It's okay to have a So hold on a second. Can you Judd? Jay?
Yeah.
Can you
right here.
Mute it all?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm trying to do that right now.
No problem.
Go ahead.
Okay. So it's basically if I answered the trolls and the haters, then I'd be putting myself in that negative space, and I can't and won't allow that hate to enter my world. I can't do it. It's so for commenters, being inquisitive is fine. I don't mind that. But if you include name calling and that kind of garbage, then just so you know, your message will probably be deleted. Your comment will be deleted. I'm sorry. I know everybody believes in free speech, and I have no problem. If you have a problem with me, you can go on your channel and you can say whatever you want. They're free. You just go up there, hit start a channel, upload video. So get on your iPhone and chew me out and tell me how much of a liar I am, and that I'm doing this for money, and that I don't really believe this, and everything else you want to say, that I sell blood on my website, whatever you want to say, that it's it's bullshit. That's fine. Go ahead and say it. You have a free platform just like I did. And just like I started with 0 subscribers, you start with 0 subscribers. That's the way it works. Deal with it. But I'm not going to give you my platform, which is my channel, to come and spit hateful things that are spreading around the world. I mean, that's what I'm giving people the opportunity. Just think of that. Yeah, I didn't ever expect it to have this many subs. But if you've got 50,000 subs, then you put a video out, and there might be 25,000 people that read that comment section. So why should somebody that's going to come and scream and yell hate and call people, I don't know, every name in the book, tell them to drink bleach, tell them to do all these things, why would I allow that kind of behavior in something that is my platform? If you want 25,000 people listening to what you say, then do what I've done for the last 2.5 years, which is make videos that are compelling, that make people think. That obviously I'm not up here lying. That's not how you get. Go ahead and try and lie on your channel and see how long you have subs. See how long you last. Okay, what I'm doing is not lying. What I'm doing is pointing out my observations, talking about my opinion, and that's it. That's all I can promise you. I'm real. I'm 100% who I say I am, and my beliefs are 100% what you hear. That's all I can promise you. Can I promise you I'm right? No. Can I promise you I'll be right about everything? No. But can I promise you if I say something that I mean it? It's my true opinion. It's my feelings. It's my thoughts. Absolutely. So I just feel like I'm going to start paying a little bit more attention to cleaning comment sections. And if you don't like it, too damn bad, because I'm not going to let you spread your hate on a platform that I built for the opposite reason. The reason I started making videos is to speak truth to people and get the truth out there and to let people have change the world. But I'm changing the world in a negative way if I'm allowing the 25,000 people who watch my videos to also watch your mouth go off about how much of a moron you think I am, simply because I'm using my own mind and you don't know how to do that. You refuse. You want to just trust men. I don't trust men. There's no reason to. They've never given me a reason to trust them, and that includes scientists and everybody else. And so I'm very weary about who I trust, but guess who I do trust? Myself. And this is a decision I've made, that I don't think having that kind of nonsense in my comment section is towards my goal. And that's what I always wanted to do. So at first when I'm like, I believe in free speech, I'm going to leave my comments open. I'm not going to touch them. But the more I think about it, my goal is for a better world. And based off the rice experiment that I've seen the results of, what I'm doing is I'm creating, okay, even if I create a great video, the amount of hate in that video, I'm spreading more hate than good. And that's what I'm not going to allow anymore, because it's the opposite of what I want to do. Hopefully that makes sense. Jay, did you come back? Did you there? You're muted. I don't know. So anyway, hopefully nobody has a problem with that. And if you do, like I said, you are free to make a channel and say all the bad things about me that you could ever dream of. That's fine. Are you back?
I'm back. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah. No, I think that makes all the sense in the world. I do want a price breakdown on the blood you're selling, though.
It's about $8 for a pint.
Okay. All right.
It's so fun. I mean, it's not.
No, I totally agree, man. You created the platform. You created the subscribers. If someone's not gonna, I welcome any type of polite and productive, point counterpoint type of discussion. I think that's the only way we're going to get anywhere.
Me too. And
but
I have no problem
when it comes to the garbage and the hate and the spewing, just the name calling on it, that's just retarded.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, even like Wolfie, 6020, I emailed him the other day and said, hey, I'm thinking of having a panel show where, there's 3 Globers and 3 Flat Earthers. And I said, but, I want you to make sure that, I asked him who he suggests, who he recommends. Because I said what I want it to be is more of a almost a think tank where we can come up with some experiments that we work together to get the results. This way, there's not the whole thing of, you did the experiment wrong. Well, let's get together and let's do the experiments together to where we can agree on something ahead of time. So I think it would be a good show. I think Wolfie's the kind of person that, he's not out to headhunt or to call people names. And, somebody like Cool Hard Logic that thinks it's just funny to just say, terrible things about people is not somebody I'm looking for, because that's not doing experiments. That's not caring about science. That's just out to headhunt. And the same, I agree. A lot of people saying, well, you go and you call him names back, and you say, okay, that's a little different story. That it's just different. If you don't get it, I can't help you. But anyway,
yeah, Jaron, I totally agree. And when you look back, and most of the flat Earth crowd will now understand that this flat Earth movement has been brought up many times in history, right? Mm-hmm. Going back to the late 1800s, early 1900s, etc. And so we've had voices, trying to get this stuff out of there in the past. This is not new. We've also, I can just about imagine, we've probably had some really strong globe contenders arguing those guys back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. Just regurgitating what science books say. So, the idea of having Wolfie and some other guys who are on the globe side of the argument and some guys on the flat side come to a table, a round table, whatever, and discuss this openly and politely and acknowledge what does and does not actually make sense to reality. It might be the first time in science that this happens.
Right.
Let's do something different. Let's be positive and let's make progress.
I totally agree. I just think that there's too much of a sided thing where it's, the problem I have with the whole idea of peer review is exactly what I don't want to see in the flat Earth. Now it's garbage. It sucks because what I'm saying, when I say I'm getting rid of comments, somebody might say, oh, well, you're just creating an echo chamber. Well, I'm treating the comments differently than everything else. If somebody, like I said, if they put counter arguments in the comment, I would never erase that stuff. If you've had your comments erased, it is clearly because of something you've said about me or about somebody else in the comments, or you're cursing, or, as I've said many times, if you come and drop a link into the comments, it will be deleted. Because if you have any idea how many comments I get, I don't have time to click every link to see what did this person drop there. And sometimes it's just somebody's business, some make money thing, or download these movies. Yeah. It's so I don't have time to check all that, and I'm sorry that it means the people who are dropping actual links don't get their links in there. But if you put, hey, this is a link to a video about such and so, then those ones usually stay, and I do check some of those ones too. So the last thing about the whole commenting world and everything is that you're free to make your own channel. I want to make sure people understand that I'm not dissenting free speech. Okay, it's just, I think somebody once told me, if somebody wants to write on their garage, F Jaron, that's fine. You can do that, but you can't come over to my lawn and burn it into my lawn. Okay, so you have free speech, but you can't come in and impede my property. And yeah, is Facebook, is YouTube my property? No. But this channel kind of is. And until they make rules that comments cannot be monitored by the channel owner, well, then I'm going to clean out some of that garbage, because it's not what I'm here for, is to spread people's hate, which is what this has brought on. And I'm just doing science. People are just investigating their world. I wish I could show you all the emails from people who have said, I never paid attention to the moon. I never watched the stars. I never paid attention to the sun. I didn't know that the moon goes through Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. The amount of people who thought that the shadow on the moon was the Earth's shadow for years. They thought every phase that we saw was the Earth's shadow. There's so many things that science should look at this and say, this is fantastic. People are learning about the world. And if science is true, then science should welcome this. And that's the kind of thing that we're not seeing. For goodness sakes, Victor Brewer couldn't announce the name of the college that he's borrowing the laser from to do his laser test, because some globe believer will call that college and tattle on him and say that he's doing a flat Earth measurement. Look at that. Think of what that is. That's somebody who's going to do science, and the globe is trying to stop it. Somebody who believes in the globe doesn't want science to happen. So, that's ridiculous. Yeah. That's just nonsense.
That's like Salem witch trials all over again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's just burn people at the stake, because they're far be it for us to do it, but because they're questioning the narrative, questioning science.
Yep. So anyway, and I told you guys all before that I'm not claiming I'm ever going to be right, but if you don't think it's a good idea to bring up what we found, or what basically Jay found, if you don't think it's a good idea to bring it up for everyone to see what this little $13 item can do, we've been filming stars, Missa and I, for 2 years, trying to figure out what is causing that. Sometimes we'll almost see like a it almost looks like a hand. I'll just describe it that way. Like a hand is holding the star, which means that the light, when we zoom into it, is only coming out of like 3/4 of the star and not the back part. It looks like somebody's holding it. Well, I can do that with my laser and this glass thing. It's incredible. And I want to show you what I found. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, yeah, it's great that you're putting I put the video, but you're putting this out there telling people, get the thing. Go to Amazon and get one because, like you say, you were up there for a couple of years and didn't even think about the dome thing. Well, I've had the dome, the magnifying glass dome. I think I ordered it like in late January. And I have looked at spirals and star trails and everything else. And then you hit me up with a message the other day and you're like, oh my gosh, have you shined a laser through? And I'm like, no, it never even crossed my mind. So I think it's great that this stuff gets out there and we start experimenting with different directions.
Yeah. The other thing that Miss and I were finding is I can almost get, and we'll try and practice, we'll kind of try and show this in a little bit, but I can almost get nebulas. I can almost get galaxies. I can get the clouds that they say they see, like the Magellanic clouds.
Oh, yeah.
So first what I want to show is what else I found. I'm going to see if I can get this thing. Oops. That's great. Let's start a fire. Okay. So I'm going to put this on. Let me see if I get my camera on the right one here. Okay, this one. Okay, yeah. By the way, that's a paper plate. I told you already. So we're going to... Oh, yeah, that's a paper plate. So I'm putting this... and you got to be careful with that glass. It gets so dirty. Do you have that problem too?
Oh, yeah.
I have to handle it.
Yeah, you got to clean it off.
Yeah, I'm handling it with a napkin here. Okay, so what I'm doing this time is I'm turning it the other way. So it's turned... let's see if we can get this over here. Come off there. Okay. So I've turned it like a bowl. Now, I mean, upside down. This is not how you get the star trails. But this would be... Imagine that you are, I don't know, outside of the Earth. You're on the ISS, right? Okay, I want you to watch something. So we're on this... Okay, we're viewing these stars turn, but watch when I start coming down to this angle. You're going to trip out when you see this. Oops, come on. Okay, so as I come this angle, all of a sudden, something black covers it. And what does that look like? What does that remind you of?
It's the ISS deal.
Yep. It looks like now, I think, that what they're doing is if they are anywhere, they're just outside the atmosphere. And remember, my laptop underneath here is flat. There's no curvature. There's no edge of the Earth. But when I pull this down to here, all of a sudden, this looks exactly like the traveling ISS. So you get this curve. It appears
to be curved. Yep. Look at that. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. See? Is
wow.
Now, is that a ball, folks? Or is that because we're looking through a lot of atmosphere, because we're looking through a glass piece? Here you go again. There's, we're not seeing it. What you're seeing here is my iPad. Let me pull this back over here a little bit. Okay, and so here we go again, and we're going to pull this down. And you can go any direction, and you're going to get that black look. See that? And guess what? There's no stars out there. Isn't that crazy? Just like there's no stars on the ISS. Okay, so anyway, that's what we found today that we thought was really crazy, because the more we're looking at this, we're like, well, if you go look at the ISS, let me bring up the ISS, actually, see if we can get this thing to stay here. Whoops. Now it's going to slide off, huh?
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. No, it's amazing. It really is. And to correct something earlier that I was saying, like when I used the word dome, as far as reality, what we see in reality, could it be the thing through the dome? I'm like you, Jaron. I'm not saying that it's a magnifying glass, actual glass dome above our heads, but I think that the atmosphere is, taking that shape, and we know that it can be reflective. We know that it helps. Science always uses refraction at us all the time. They throw the word at us all the time, right? Curved surfaces, a curved mirror, a curved glass will distort and create different paths. So I'm like you. I think it's the atmosphere taking that shape.
Sorry, brought up another video for some reason. That's another thing that sucks, is putting the thing on the iPad. It thinks you're pressing it. So 1 second.
Oh, yeah. Damn touchscreens.
And by the way, if anybody thinks this isn't real, this Star Trails, it isn't, because what it is it's a 30-second Star Trails video, and I repeated it over and over and over again so that I would have something that was more continuous. So just so you know, that's why it looks like if you watch the stars for a second, you'll see they go for a little bit and then they'll reset. So just so you know,
right.
It's not real. See how they're going to reset and start over? So just so you know. But that's because...
Go back to start, yeah.
And that's another thing. If you try and look up Star Trails, well, you should realize that there's not any such thing as one that's longer than like 35 seconds, right?
Right.
Because that's how long we have if we do a time lapse. So I'm going to turn this thing over. Oops. See, and the thing flies off the screen. Okay, stay on there. Okay, and this is a little bit difficult. Oops, stop sliding. All right, so I'm going to try and show what we're talking about here, and it's not easy. Stay up there. And you'll actually see the black thing kind of doing its circles behind there. Let me see if I can get this without getting the glare. Not really seeing the glare there. Hold on 1 second. Stay. All right, get over there. Okay, now we get it. So if you can see, come on. All right, so if you can see, I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Can you see? It's hard for me. I'm looking, the thing is not next to the computer, so I can't look at both. Do you see
It's
it
tough.
there? It's not really.
Wait, hold on.
Let me move it this way a little bit.
It's tough at the angle the camera's at.
It's like anytime you try and show somebody too, because you can't show them, with it on a screen or something. Because, okay, there we go. Now it's getting a little bit, and I have to keep turning around. Let me see this way. Shoot, hold on. Let me fix this thing. All right, let me try there. I'll stay there. Shoot. Let me get it on the smaller screen. Let me fix that.
Yeah, go for it.
So, you could tell everybody, did you ever do your double pipe test? Oh, by the way, see, this is a paper plate, and if you showed somebody this picture right here, okay, if you showed somebody this, and they said, the moon is clearly a ball, dude. Look at the moon, it looks like a ball. This is a paper plate. This is a paper plate. Okay, and it's even indented. See, the paper plate has an indentation? So it's clearly just by somebody teaching you something, you can think that is the case. Doesn't mean it's the case.
That's right. No, I'm currently in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Jaron, I had to come down here for work, and we got as soon as we started getting clear skies was when I had to leave town. So I'll be back in town Monday, and I'm hoping to do the double pipe test that we talked about last week on Raw.
Well, the more I start thinking about that, I'm not sure that's. Well, yeah, I guess I am sure that it would show us something, but I'm just not sure because
what?
We were talking about the angle, right? So, but imagine if we turned and faced the other direction, we're still at the same angle, but it's not going to be facing the North Star. I don't know if that makes any sense what I just said, but
yeah, it's really a tough one to follow. Say that again, Jaron, because if you turn...
Well, we were saying that the angle has to remain the same, right?
Well, the angle does not have to be the same. It just has to be the same with both pipes. It doesn't have to be... in other words, imagine a... man, I'm trying to think. Imagine a pitchfork, right? Mm-hmm. And you cut off the middle blade so that you've basically got the far left and far right part of the metal sticking up to make a pitchfork, right? So it's like the little, the rock and roll sign, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the best way I can do it. So imagine those two things being your pipes. Well, no matter what angle you change one to, if they're connected in the center, then the other one will also be at that angle. And that's really all that matters. In other words, if you've got a pipe in your driveway, and you put it at a 35-degree angle and you lock it in on a star, and you fasten that pipe, again, at the center, to another pipe so that it is also at a 35-degree angle, and you're 3, 4, 5 feet apart. If it's a half-inch PVC pipe with a direct line of sight, will you see the star in that pipe on both pipes? I don't think you will. Science says
I don't think you will
that
either.
I don't think you will. And the reason we're asking this, if anyone missed the call the other night, is when you actually draw a line from, let's say you go to the 35 parallel in California, and they say, face your telescope or your line of sight at a 35-degree angle, and boom, there's Polaris, right? You got to get it north and 35 degrees elevated.
Oh, I had it
There's
there.
Polaris.
Sorry, I just had it's the glare. I'm getting like a terrible glare. But I can't look at both at the same time. They're on different... I have to turn around to face the computer, and then I have to turn back. So, there, I think I have it. Okay, maybe a little bit this way. But then I get this terrible glare from the iPad. Okay, right there. Let's let it stop for a second. So, if you're looking from this angle, you would see that... And it actually kind of starts to look like a sphere. See how the stars are going around it? And that's kind of like what you see when you showed those stars that... give you the down bow and the up bow.
Yeah,
There we go.
right. Going in different directions.
Right. Let's see if we get it down a little bit here. So what we're saying is that, and if you saw my video, I mean, it was better with the maybe the iPhone camera is different. I don't know why this thing is. And then this thing has an auto, what is it called? Auto focus. And I keep getting this glare that's not helping. Oh, there we go, a little better. Maybe I need to be up more. Down more. Okay, there you can see the second circle.
There you go. Yeah, I see the second circle.
Okay, and if you watch the stars that are going in there, they're going up. You see the one coming underneath it?
Yep.
Now, what is that? Do you see that red and orange thing appearing there? What is that from?
Yeah, what is that, right?
I
That's
think
probably,
well, I think it's,
I don't know.
It might be from this over here. Like it's reflecting.
Yeah, I was supposed to say maybe it's
it.
picking up something else.
See, I'm trying to cover different parts of this with like a black sheet. See, now I covered this part. See, now I covered that with a sheet. See if that... Okay, well, no. What the hell would that be from?
It's a wandering star.
I don't know what that orange and blue is coming from. Can't really see. But I'm going to shoot some things off this real quick and see if we can see those and figure out why this isn't working. But yeah, it's like I said, here's the thing about this little piece of glass is we're talking about something on such a small level versus the entire Earth. So, I mean, again, what I'm showing this to people for is to put it into their minds and get some ideas out there that maybe other people weren't thinking. For me, I've always felt, and I still do feel, that the sky is flat. The sky is flat like a ceiling above my head. And that everything I see is due to atmosphere. And this is what this is kind of showing me, is that that is almost the case. So let me show you what happens. We're going to put some, shine some laser at it. And we'll go back to that there. So what are some other tests that you've done? Oh, let me show it, because that one, I have actually, one second. Let me see if I can show this real quick. So that one test that you did, is this going to be under this one? Yeah. So let me show you this video. Somebody did a video just the other day called Galactic Horizon. Oops, I clicked the wrong one.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw this.
This guy talking about, and he's saying, okay, this video here. So he makes a claim in this video, and I don't have the volume on, but he makes a claim in this... Oops, I'm not showing people. Sorry. There you go. He makes a claim in this video that this proves that we live on a spinning ball. He says, if we look at this picture on the left, that this could take place if it was a flat Earth or a round Earth. And he says, but this image proves that we live on a ball. And Jay, maybe you can tell people why you feel that's incorrect.
Okay, so the little bit of homework that I've done on this, what we're told that we're seeing is what we call the celestial equator. You see where it's a horizontal line right there in the middle, and then you've got the two circles, what appear to be two circles on top and bottom?
Yeah, he calls this right here the galactic horizon.
Galactic horizon, okay. So others have called it like the celestial equator. Well, what's amazing is that the galactic horizon / celestial equator will move with you up and down in latitude. Now, originally when I started looking into the stars, and I'm still trying to find the article that explained this, but they claimed that the galactic horizon / celestial equator could be seen when you're near the equator itself looking straight up. And that the two rings were because the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere are above and below you. But then I was shocked to find that up on the 30-something parallel outside of Atlanta, Georgia, when I faced the camera southwestish, I got the same thing, the same, the galactic horizon / celestial equator right there, in front of me, that high, and it did not make any sense to me. But again, I go back to the dome. When a globe-sided makes the statement, when they make such a definitive statement, I feel like it's a trap, and they don't realize they're doing it. But they're saying that this can only happen on a globe. Well, no, the magnifying glass dome proves that there are other ways to skin this cat.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And he's making the claim, and this is the problem I have with it, that if we go back and look at this here, that it seems to me that this would be the result of, okay, so if we're in the northern hemisphere, then I would assume that all the stars would, that we know that they're circling around Polaris. But to see the stars down here, hopefully, I don't know if you can see my mouse. Oh, yeah, guess you can. See how these ones are
Yeah, I
up
see.
like this, and then these ones are down like this. Well,
Correct.
to me, that would be, you would see this if you're on the southern hemisphere, and you would see this if you're in the northern hemisphere. But
Right.
to see them both would tell me that either the stars are on a celestial sphere, that they're on, but they're not. We're told that they are various distances, crazy distances away, and that the ball is spinning. Well, if the ball is spinning, then okay, let's put it this way. Would this be the result if we lived on a half dome like the one we have? So we have that glass piece, right? Now picture that glass piece is rotating in space. Would this be what we would see? Because, to me it seems like this is a product of it being a ball, but their presumption is that it's a ball, meaning we're on the northern hemisphere. So how do we see this? This looks to me like something that should be seen from the southern.
Okay, so imagine this. Imagine the magnifying glass dome, sort of, envelops you wherever you're at. In other words, I was under the same impression, Jaron, that you should not be able to look up and see that from the 35 degree latitude.
Right.
Because that should be much lower, right? There's no way I would see that. And especially looking like just south of the western direction.
Wouldn't you say this is probably about 35?
Say it again?
Would you think this is about 35 degrees? I don't know what it's at, but I'm just...
I have no... it's hard to tell. But yeah, it looks close. But, I mean, that is exactly what I get from just north of Atlanta, Georgia, which is like 33, 34, somewhere in there, latitude. When I look a few degrees south of west, I get almost exactly that same shot. Now, I'm waiting for a clear night. I was waiting for a clear night here in Austin because I wanted to point it in the exact same direction in Austin and see if I get that same trail, and I think I will. I think anyone, that points it in that direction will get that same trail, which tells me that it's almost as if, like we say, it's not a physical dome, it's the atmosphere acting like that magnifying glass dome.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my whole point, is on a globe, I don't think that this is what you would see. That I think this is a result of stars, and you are in an atmosphere that makes it, and Morgan and I have talked about it before, we've described it as like your own personal snow globe. And again, somebody will go crazy with that and make a sound clip of that. Jaron thinks you're in a snow globe. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's as if each person is in their own snow globe. And the more you play with this half dome, the more you will see evidence of that, because Miss and I have just had our eyes open today and yesterday, because what we're starting to see is an explanation for everything we see. The reason, and we've been doing we've been doing time lapses of the stars. Our house points directly south, and so almost every night we set up the GoPro, we tape the sun, it's nothing exciting, that's why I don't load them up. But in watching that, we've been kind of learning how the sky works, or trying to figure out how the sky works. And the more we've been watching it, we've kind of come to some conclusions, like it just does not make sense on this globe. I mean, I see stars far away kind of approach and get like, for instance, if you're looking far away at Orion's belt and it comes close to me, those stars spread out. And then as they go away, they get closer together again. That makes no sense on a globe. That they should not do that, because they're billions and billions and billions of, or trillions of miles away. So why would they, they shouldn't make that change, unless what's happening is they're coming closer and getting further. And in a globe world, you can't say that, because the percentage is so tiny. If they're trillions of miles away, well, them traveling a distance of 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 miles closer to me doesn't make any sense. That wouldn't make what I see. But when we see them go across...
Well, Jaron, oh, go ahead. Good. No, I was just going to say, looking at it through the magnifying glass dome aspect.
And now everything makes sense.
Right. It's like the reason it's Orion or whatever is appearing to show such a crazy parallax, in the middle of a night when it shouldn't, is because of the distortion we were talking about with that magnifying glass dome-shaped atmosphere.
Correct. As they travel around me, they're coming from my left, they're coming from the east, they're coming up and closer to me, and then so that's when I see them at a certain distance apart. And as they go away, they're setting, and it's like they're inside of, or I'm inside, And again, I'm not saying I believe in a dome, because I think that an atmosphere could work the same way. Even a flat atmosphere, like think of a mattress. Okay, just think of a mattress of atmosphere that's above your head. Well, you look straight up and you're looking through the least amount of mattress. As you look to the side, you're looking through more mattress. And the further and further and further you look, the more and more and more mattress you're looking through. That could cause, just like anything else going through different mediums, that could cause the light to kind of distort and kind of bend. And then also, if you just know, all you got to do is look it up, that we don't see stars on the horizon. That stars don't ever get to the horizon. No. Why does that make any sense in the globe? It makes none, because we don't live there. Think about what they tell us about refraction. And refraction lifts the sun up. When we see the sun and the bottom of it's touching the horizon, they tell us it's below the horizon, but refraction is lifting it up. It's all excuses, guys. That's an excuse of why we see things further than we should. Because if that's true, why wouldn't I see a bunch of stars bunched up at the horizon? Why wouldn't I see that? Because obviously it should be lifting all the starlight to the horizon line like it does the sun, but it doesn't happen. And in fact,
it doesn't happen.
You can time the sun and you can film the sun, and it goes in its motion, and it never jumps, which would be required if it was refraction. So clearly, the fact that we don't see stars on the horizon is a sign of the flat Earth, because the flat Earth is saying the stars are never below your horizon; they just get further away. And if you think of it that way, now picture yourself looking off into the distance at a horizon. Well, the stars get more and more distance away from you, and then they fizzle out. They distort. They compress. That's what's going on. And when you think of everything that way, all of a sudden, you're going to have a better idea of where you live than the magical space ball, where things refract and somehow the sun is higher than it should be. It should be behind the horizon. But if that happens, well, when does it ever at that point? So anyway, what do we got here?
Think of a. Hey,
I thought you were doing that. I'm like, how the hell did you do that?
No, that's amazing.
I didn't watch this far.
No,
in the video.
If you think of it like as far as everyone having their own, think of it like a 16-inch size pizza, and imagine that the Gleason map being on there, right? Mm-hmm. And then you take the magnifying glass dome and you just run it around to different countries, like you're playing the cup game, right? Just scooting it around. Each and every person from their position has, the atmosphere is forming above their heads, and it, could be due to density. It could be due to the perspective that our eyes do. I mean, we don't know, but the important thing about all of this, Jaron, is that again, they made so many definitive claims when they play that ace in the hole. The problem with that is that they're saying, hey, this can only happen on a globe.
Right.
That's spinning through space. And, it's just not true. And, I don't know if you remember this, Jaron. You remember that Popular Science article they did? That when you Google, it's one of the first things that comes up. It's like Popular Science, 10 reasons that we know the Earth's not flat.
Right.
It was published in 2012. And then after the big wave of flat Earth videos, they edited it and re-released it or whatever in 2016. But one thing that's I always, in my research, I always go back to that list, or I did frequently. And, going down the list, there's so many things. To quote David Weiss, how he talks about there's 3 buckets: the globe, the flat, and both, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just so simple to go through that list and find the things like that they always say, the sticks and the shadows, the Aristophanes fairy tale, right?
Oh, yeah.
As everyone knows by now and has proven over and over that can be both. And then the ridiculous one, how you can see further from higher. Well, guess what? That's both too, guys.
Yeah, stop saying that. That makes them seem so confused to me. For them to call us names and then they don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know. Yeah. Every time I hear that, I'm like, oh.
I'm sure I can see further than if I had a 1-year-old child and we were out at a park somewhere, that I can see further because I'm 6 foot and the child's 3 feet. I mean, that's should be go without saying, but they just don't get it. And who does great work on that is Curious Life of a Flat Earther. I think his channel's now just Curious Life, and what he shows is that there's a degree. Our eyesights have a degree. Our sight, and so if you think of that angle, the people that are into math, picture that person that's 10 feet tall, that they've got a larger angle that they can see than somebody who's 2 feet tall. and that's why you can see further if you're taller.
That's exactly right. And the two things that always really bothered me for the last year or so on that list that they gave, their proofs that the Earth's not flat, was the southern, southern stars, or seeing stars differently in the southern hemisphere, and then also the lunar eclipse. And it just drove me nuts because, especially with the lunar eclipse, Jaron, it's all when they argue and when they make that as a point, as a proof of the globe Earth. First thing that's wrong with that is that it's assuming that's what's making the shadow. They make that assumption going in that it is the Earth making that shadow on the moon. We don't know what's making that shadow on the moon.
No, we don't.
Are you with me on that?
Yeah, totally.
Right. So that was what bothered me to begin with. But then also the way that they would say it so definitively, like nothing else could be causing these two phenomenons. And, the magnifying glass shows one, and that's, I think, the reason I brought to you the attention of the wasp on the water.
Right.
I'm not saying that that surface tension on water is what's causing the spherical shadow on the moon. However, you science are saying that the only way that round shadow can get there is by your model, which is totally not true.
Right. Yeah, what I'm showing here too, I'm trying to, and the sad part is that what I see in reality, what I see here is not what I'm showing on the screen. So, because it's just the glare of the camera, which is obviously not helping me at all. But because what I see is a actual, like only 3/4 of that circle is really shining. And when I show it here, there you can kind of see that it looks like, see how there looks like there's a shine coming out to the left there, but not really the whole thing. Well, that light that we see is what we see sometimes from, and I'll bring it up here.
Stars.
Stars, and also the sun. When you look at like Dwayne Kellum's footage.
Oh yeah.
And this thing here. Okay, so like right there, that looks like a circle on the screen at least. Well, it's not a perfect circle, but for me, it's a half circle. It's just weird that it's a half circle here and a full circle there. But
it's like a three-quarter moon almost.
Yeah, it kind of does look like that on the screen. It's hard for me because I shouldn't have put this over here where I have to look both directions. Doesn't help me at all. And let me see if I can bring this one up. Oops. Do you see? Let me see what you see here. Move it over here. So like this here, this doesn't that look like? Oh, see that light from behind it right there? How you see like two?
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
two lights.
Right. That is kind of what I see with Dwayne Kellum's footage. When you get to the side of the sun, now when you're looking directly at it, you don't see the two lights as much. Let me see if I go like this. Then I'm not seeing the two lights. But when the camera swings around, and I'll show you that right now. But when the camera swings around, you see this light come from behind it like that. So let me show that so people can see what I'm talking about. Let me go to browser. Oh no, go to this one. Where is it at? Here. Oh, and then after I want to watch this. I mean, this video is the best I've seen probably this year.
Great.
So good. Yeah, you guys, if you're not subscribed to AJC 1844, Cracking the Moon, great video. I'll actually go there right now. He shows that. We'll get a little bit further in here. He takes this map of basically what we see when we see a planisphere is just the Earth map onto a flat plane like an azimuthal equidistant. Then he takes this glow-in-the-dark planisphere and removes the portion that, usually you have this part covered, and it tells you from wherever you're at, and you rotate it around, and this is what you see in your night sky. But really, if we ever just paid attention, by removing that, they show you the whole night sky. So this is the entire night sky, both south and northern hemisphere, on one plane, and this is what flat earthers are saying is the truth. That this is what they're hiding, is that this is one flat plane above your head. And as it rotates, well, depending on where you're at on Earth, this is where you see different... Oh, am I not showing this? God bless it.
I see it.
No, you're watching my screen, and I didn't pay attention. My bad.
Oh,
sorry, folks.
Sorry.
One of these days, I'll get a producer who will sit here and do all this work for me, and I'll just talk. But, so, okay, now let me go back and show you. So... I hate when I do that, because if I was watching, I'd be so pissed. I'd be like, what are you talking about? You're not showing it. What are you doing?
Get it together, Jared.
Yeah, wake up, dude. Come on. Get with the program. All right, so what he's showing, let me get over here. Okay, so this is a glow-in-the-dark planisphere, and you may have seen these before. They have this covering, which is based on your location. And then so he's right here, and this is his night sky. As he rotates this thing per day, he sees a different night sky. Now the thing is, you can remove that piece and see the entire night sky. And then this is what we're saying is above the Earth. And then as it goes around, well, we see different things based on where you're at. And that's basically, he's showing that, and he shows how it's the same, like right here I think is where he's showing it, that the equator is right above the celestial equator. So right here, okay, so there's the flat Earth map if we've all seen it, or the layout. And in a second here, gotta press play. Let me turn that off. See. Okay, so you'll see that it just switches here in a second. He'll overlay. Yeah, there it is. So it's the same thing. The celestial equator is above the flat Earth equator, and these are the stars that we think go around the outside. Now, if you picture this, imagine that you're here looking south. Now, somebody would say, well, how does this person over here see the same southern stars? Well, they don't, because this is not the same night for both these people.
Right.
So now this person here where Africa may be, and this person here where South America may be, if they're both looking south, they would see the same stars. They don't see the same central location, and we know that for a fact because the stars render different for each person. Meaning, if the southern crux is at 4 o'clock for this person's view, then this person's view has it at 1 o'clock, or wherever it would be. I don't know if it's before or after. But basically, that's what we're trying to show, and that by looking up at these stars, they're rendering backwards to your perspective. The orbit is going the other way. And so that's what we're trying to point out. And the more people hear things like that, then the more they can explore and experiment. And we'll get to the bottom of this, because nobody's helping us. I mean, nobody from science is coming forward and handing their helping hand or lending their helping hand.
No.
So when you go into my videos,
no, it's going to take the guys like all of us that are getting out and doing things.
Right.
And Jaron, we may have somebody watching this that, what do you know it? They work in a glass factory during the daytime. And they want to make a larger dome and play around with it. You know what I mean? That's the great thing about this is, like, science has had 500 years,
right,
to get all their explanations and all their equations in a row. And we're coming at this, after a couple of years, and it's like, I honestly feel like with the hive mind and with everybody working on new different directions, I don't think it's not going to take us 500 years to come up with what's going on here.
Well, and part of that is, okay, so let's say that I did this test at home and I came to the conclusion that, well, I don't think that perfectly describes how the sky works, so I'm not going to make a video about it. I'm just going to keep this to myself. Hopefully people realize what you're doing if you do that, is you're really handicapping everybody, because now everybody is working separately, and that's not how science got where they got. That you need that collection of thoughts and ideas. So when I put this out and I make a point to say, I'm not saying this is how it works. I'm not saying that we live in a dome. I'm putting it out there so that maybe somebody else who's been researching it rings a bell with them, like, oh, I remember when I was doing this, I never thought of adding that. And that's how we're going to get to the truth, is everybody doing it. So when I put it out there, I purposefully say, I'm not saying this is the truth. So when you go into the comment section and say something stupid like, you're lying to everybody, I'm going to throw your comment away. Because how am I lying? By showing an observation that I have, the thing's right in front of me. I'm showing you an observation. That's not a lie. That's showing you. If I got on there and said, I know how the stars work, this is exactly how they go, everything works the way I say, and you have to believe it or go away, that you can tell me I'm a liar then. But I don't say things like that because I don't know. But I certainly know as of today that this is the best way I can explain things to me. I mean, if you're talking about, we had that debate, I know nobody's heard it yet, but the other day we had a debate with some guys from NASA and a guy from SpaceX, and Dave and I had a debate with them. And at the end, the guy says, well, you know what I think it comes down to really is Occam's razor. That whatever, and then he goes on, and I'm like, dude, Occam's razor better explains the globe, the thing that spins in space, the thing that goes 66,000 miles per hour, along with the sun and us that goes 480,000 miles per hour, along with the galaxy that goes 2.2 million. I mean, that whole thing. Yeah,
along with all the magical forces that no one can prove.
Right, and then you've got fictional forces, you've got centrifugal and centripetal, and they both are the same equation. They both are the same. That's the kind of shit they've done.
Correct. And as a real world example, like for instance, I think others have done this too, but I sent you a while back, the test that I did with the flashlight in the bowl.
Right.
Again, another curved, reflective, upper surrounding, let's call it. Mm-hmm. I say, if you shine a light on it, amazingly enough, if you shine it the right way, it produces the same exact result that we see with sun halos,
Right.
with the sun dogs. So we're not saying that it's a light shining in a bowl or whatever.
Right.
But isn't it ironic that, okay, I looked up the scientific reasoning behind the sun halos, and
Oh,
it's
what
like,
a joke that is.
well, yeah, it's like, oh, well, the ice crystals,
Ice crystals.
the hexagonal ice crystals in the atmosphere reflect the light, etc. And so I went online. I was trying to see a demonstration or a test or any kind of proof of this. And once again, what do you know? It's a theory that cannot be demonstrated. In other words, they can't build me a tank, shine a light at some hexagonal crystals, and get the same effect as the sun halo. But Curious Jay or anyone else can pick up a bowl and a flashlight in the kitchen and do it.
Right. And what people don't get is that if you're somebody who's learning this stuff in college, that's already in the textbook. So you're going to learn about the ice crystals. So when you come out of college and you're very smart and you've got your diploma and somebody goes to you and says, hey, how come we have sundogs? And people think like science is all about, oh, well, I tested it myself in a lab with my friends and they want to disprove me. And that's not how it works. It works by a very smart person saying it's ice crystals. That's how it works. That's why we have the beliefs we do. And you guys go around parading around promoting this science. We know everything. The Earth's a globe we've known for thousands of years. And you have never looked into anything. You just assume that there's a bunch of people looking into it, and there's not. There's not.
Jaron, I'll take a step further, or take it. Or there's one step you miss, and that's they probably, before it went to textbooks, guess what? They probably had it peer reviewed.
Of course, yeah.
And all the other like-minded scientists looking for anything that fit the paradigm signed off on it, and that was it. Boom, done. That's how sun halos work.
And it goes into the
textbook.
textbook.
You can't demonstrate it, but you got it signed off on, and bam, it's in the science books. Yet we can say, you know what? What if, let's theorize that the Earth is flat, that the lights are closer, and that if we played around with the curved atmosphere, the curved nature of what we think the atmosphere is, well, we can produce the exact same thing, but we can show it to you on a test. But you can't get that even close to being peer reviewed.
Right.
It's just ludicrous. And how many of these categories, how many of these things that we see in reality, are we going to put up tests that show, hey, look, here it is one way, when guess what? Science still hasn't done a test to show them.
Nope, they just say it is the way it is and the math works, and then you should believe it. There's
the math works.
No use in questioning it. And if science was all about what they say they are, then they would welcome tests and they would want to go out and prove these things. I mean, why has there been no what the hell happened? Oh, why has there been no Bill Nye show or something to where he's going to show these things? Why, Neil deGrasse, they just want to laugh and joke and think it's real funny, but that's because of the implications of it. If what we're saying is true, then Neil deGrasse's entire life has been about promoting a false idea, and no human can even face that thought. That's what's so hard for them. Let me see if this is the one.
I mean, I'll give you a good example. Easy test that science could do, and I would shut up about this particular one. Get a couple of aquariums, line them up next to each other, right? Empty tanks, basically. On the far right side, I want you to put some dry ice, okay? Then I want it to be sealed off, and I want there to be a middle section, and it's just a tiny bit of dry ice, okay? And then on the far left side, I want you to put a tank that we're going to turn into a vacuum chamber. We're going to take all the pressure out of it, and then all of a sudden we're going to lift the doors between each chamber. Now, what you've got is on the right, you've got a very thick atmospheric-like pressure because of the dry ice. In the middle, you've got the gradient effect where it's very little. And on the far left, you've got the vacuum. Are you going to tell me, can science show me that gradient, any type of test where when you lift the doors and you put them all together, that the atmospheric smoke on the far right does not bleed into the second and third chambers? They will always do it. That is the second law of thermodynamics.
Right. Thank you very much,
Rebecca. They can't show me a single test at all as to how miraculously our clouds and atmosphere doesn't drift off into space.
Nope. They just can explain it away with words. And, so many people have seen this footage and said, oops, I just missed the spot, that this is product of curve. Jaron proved curve. He's showing curve. And if you think this is the curve of the ball, this is the kind of thing we're talking about. You have already adopted that idea and that thought. And many people might say, but Jaron, you've already adopted the flat earth model and you're trying to match everything to that. Well, you know what? When you're trying to usurp the current scientific fact, that is the way you do it. You don't go you don't go around just cheerleading for the current fact because it's already been proven, right? It's already the current going thing. So the current thing is this is a ball I live on. And when I look at this, and I showed the test, I'll do it again in a second, to show you how when you're looking down into atmosphere, that the edges bend towards you. So if we're looking from less atmosphere to more atmosphere, which we know is happening, this balloon is probably about 110,000 right now. It's looking down into the atmosphere, which is causing the flat plane to appear bent. And it's as simple as that. And yet people want to fight it and say, this is a ball? This is what you think a ball would look like? And that we're losing, this right here is because the ball falls over the edge over there, and there's buildings on the other side of that are sticking sideways. If you want to believe that, more power to you. But if you just want to promote it just because you like the globe idea, it's not what we're seeing. It's not a result. This is not what a ball would be. And yet, just because science says that they think it's a ball, you are afraid to go out on your own and question it. I question these things. I question them because they don't make sense.
I'm the same way, Jaron. And one of the things that after a while, I was already suspicious of the globe, etc. After a while, what I started realizing was that you read all the comments, you watch all the videos, I can watch a million Jaron videos and a million cool, hard logic and whatever their names are videos. But what started to really make an impression on me, and it's one of the reasons that I put it as one of the right now facts in that right now video that I did, is that it's real people that are out there doing real science. Real people doing real experiments, guess what? That's science.
Right.
It doesn't matter what your degree is. It doesn't matter, that you've got initials behind your name to fall back on. That just means that you've been trained in one area for that long.
And people need to understand that science is, it cannot tell you the answers to your scientific experiments. That takes people. Meaning science cannot, for instance, my wife and I did the 4-mile test. We measured across. We get no curvature. Now other people come and say, well, we think you measured curvature because you didn't take this. And that's all the things that can happen after a test. But by showing what we did, which proved to my wife and I, hey, we're 4 miles, we're supposed to see 10 feet of curvature, and we saw the light was seen at 1 inch above the ground. So we said, to us, that's proof. Now, if other people have other ideas, then you need to understand that's what all of science is like. That tests are done and people have different opinions of the results. That they're not always just cut and dry. They can't be. So when you've got a scientific body that believes something already, then they're going to favor the things that continue to move things in that direction. They're not going to like anything that comes in, even though they told us all that they do. They don't like things to come in and completely upset their paradigm. Imagine you've been working for 5 years on some test, and then somebody comes in and drops off a paper, which basically means your entire test has been a waste of your time. Do you think that those guys are just going to be like, oh yeah, let that in. I want to be proven that because I can't wait to get rehired by this company that hired me, or I can't wait to get more funding. And when they find out that I didn't, for 5 years, I've been wasting their money. That's not how life works. That they want things to continue. When LIGO finds its gravity waves, and when the particle accelerator finds the Higgs boson, which means nothing, means absolutely nothing. It will never affect your life. Your life is not going to get any better because here's the Higgs boson now. Oh, the Higgs boson's been found. The God particle. I mean, come on, it's all just nonsense. They have to find it because they built a multi-million-dollar, accelerator underground. What are they going to do? Just say, "Oh, we didn't find anything. Let's. Can we get more money? U.S. government for this, or does it better their chances of getting more money if they say, "Well, we found the Higgs boson. We smashed particles at 99.8% of the speed of light, and we recreated the the Big Bang." And I mean, it's just all such theoretical garbage, and it doesn't affect our lives. It doesn't affect our lives, And I think a good point to make too. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like on the same in the same line of thinking as what we're doing with the magnifying glass globe and what I mentioned with the sundog experiment, right? What's so amazing to me is like going back to, is there curve or is there not curve? You got two hypotheses. Hypothesis A says, it's a globe, and we know that because of the curvature stuff. And then you got this other hypothesis that comes along and says, you know what? It's not a globe. possibly flat, because we can see way past what we should see on these, according to the curvature formula. But what I noticed right off the top was like, okay, well, side A says, oh yeah, look, buildings are being blocked. And then as a rebuttal to us saying, well, look, why are we seeing the Statue of Liberty this far, or whatever, the Chicago horizon? They throw out, again, like we said on Raw, they throw out terms, refraction, such and such, but they won't show you one experiment. And I'm still waiting for that. And it doesn't need to be much to beat the rudimentary style of, say, Rob Skiba's awesome experiment, where he took the water and the camera and moved the buildings in the sun back and forth and showed what was happening. It's like, wait a minute, the flat side is showing evidence that we can see things further and giving you an experiment to demonstrate, hey guys, this is why you thought it was being blocked. This is what was happening. But yet the globe side, the quote unquote science side, can't give us one single experiment to cover their butts on this curvature stuff.
Nope.
I mean, how many categories in this large debate are ending up exactly the same way?
Yeah, it's a lot of them, and that's why I do respect the few that are doing it. Just like, Wolfie 6020 certainly took my challenge. So did Flat Earth Math, and that was due to my a little faulty setup. So, but I do appreciate them doing the experiments. But there's a lot more that need to be done that certainly seem like they're just adopted or accepted. And I tried to point those out because people who think they know the globe don't know it. It's just like that guy Cool Hard Logic talking about plane flights and the circling planes, and I guess you flat-tards think that planes would circle around and they would, hey, thank you very much, time months, that's awesome, appreciate that. And also I saw Wog Fun say a prayer or a good thought for his wife and his son, or his wife and soon-to-be-born son that should be coming this week. So that's awesome, congratulations on being a father. So anyway, I lost my train of thought. But I was going to show in this video here that I'm showing, and I'm trying to find some places where you can see it. I've actually asked many people this, like, watch this video with me, because what I see, let me get a little bit further here, maybe it's further. Here, this one. What I see is what looks like a light behind the sun. Now again, before you go running and crying and Jaron says there's a light behind the sun, you're lying to people. I'm talking about my observation here. I'm saying what it looks like I see. Okay, so it doesn't mean anything is true. I'm saying it appears to me that something is happening here. I don't think there's a light behind the sun. I'm saying, watch this, and when you see what happens when you kind of get this glimpse from the side of the sun, it's exactly what I see when I shine my laser through the glass dome, which is, you'll see here in a second. And again, I'm not even saying there's a glass dome, because I can't create a little dome of atmosphere in my house. So the closest thing I can do is get this glass dome and play with it, and if it's starting to show me exactly what I see in reality, then I've got questions. And I just showed you guys, and I'll show you again in a second, but this image of this blackness turning this into a ball, we just created that with that dome. Doesn't mean we live in one, but it's certainly interesting, and I think people should explore it. This is not a ball. Sorry, it's not a ball. This is things getting further away from me, meshing in with the horizon line. There's nothing on the other side of this ball. There's more stuff that way. This is the limit of my sight. Go ahead.
I agree. No, I was just going to say, I totally agree. And we're not saying any of these things are the definitive reasons. In fact, the only thing I've said definitively is that I still have yet to see any of these globe guys doing experiments.
Yep. And,
I'll stand by that one.
Yeah, and I think that the things that I see them do that it's kind of frustrating sometimes is maybe this is a good spot to see it. I don't remember. Okay. But you can even see there, you see how this is the sunlight here, but you can see that there's this line. And people are going to say, oh, that's a lens flare. Okay, I don't care what people tell you things are. That doesn't mean that that's the answer. I hope you know that, this is what David and I saw in this debate we had questions. When I asked the guy, how come the jet streams, which are going east, and we found jet streams at 200 miles per hour, and they were telling us about the spin of the Earth and that the atmosphere sticks with it. So I was just asking them, how come the jet streams can be going 200 miles per hour faster than the Earth spins in that same direction? And they said, the Coriolis force. And it's like, no, you can't answer. Jay, you gave a good example of that on Raw. Can you do that one again?
What
was
did
the word?
What
Atmospheric
was,
conjunction
what was
or
the
something?
analogy I used?
It was like
Oh
atmospheric
yeah,
conjunction.
atmospheric coagulation.
Coagulation.
So yeah, so you can't. All right, so you make up the term atmospheric coagulation, right? And you know, I ask you, well, what is that? What causes the clouds to float left and right and spin left and you say, well, atmospheric coagulation, or you know, I give you that reason, Jaron, and then you turn around and say, okay, well, can you, in telling me about this atmospheric coagulation, can you give me some proof of this stuff, this thing I've never heard of? And I say, oh, well, the proof is the clouds going back and forth around the globe. Well, you can't use what you were originally trying to describe as your proof of your new phenomenon.
Nope.
I don't care what the word is. I don't care how many letters you've got behind your name. I don't care how many peers you get to sign off on it. That is not science. You can't do that. It's not logic either, actually.
Yeah, so here if you look, now this is, I paused it here. This looks like exactly what I'm doing here. This looks like a laser light coming from outside that's hitting this and creating a light here. And just like on my wife and I did it yesterday, that if we shine the laser at the little dome piece and I'm on one side and she's on the other and we both place our finger where we see the light, it's different. But in reality, it has to be hitting the same point, but from different angles. So this explains when we talk about the apparent sun, that there is an apparent sun. That's why it can't be triangulated. That's why even the globe doesn't triangulate it. For anybody who thinks that we know the distance to the sun, 93 million miles, because we use triangulation, you're wrong, because they can't use that. So that's why when they come at us and say, well, what if we triangulate the sun? Because it must be close. Well, it's certainly rendering close. I mean, this is right above the clouds, not very far. But if it's coming through as a shining, and this is the glare that you get, well, this person here seeing this direction and me seeing here does not mean we can triangulate it and get its distance, because it's rendering different for each person. And I always describe this, but if you put 100 people at a beach, 100 feet across, or 100 feet apart, and they're all looking at the sunset, there'll be a reflection on the water that runs to each person's feet. And you would absolutely say that is real. You can see it. But nobody else at that beach can see your reflection. Nobody else would see the sun going from the sunset to your feet. They would only see their own. And so it's the same way, meaning, I'm not saying this is a reflection so much, but that's kind of what it would be when I shine that light at the dome and I'm playing with it, that what we're seeing is like a rendering, an apparent rendering. I don't know what you would call it. I'm not well versed in these words, but whatever it is, that makes more sense to me than anything I've ever been told. You're telling me that sun right here, this sun is 93 million miles away? Watch the sun. That's 93 million miles away. You've got to be kidding yourself. You've simply chosen to believe men. You want to accept what people tell you. You don't want to look at it. This sun cannot be 93 million miles away. It just cannot. It renders a bright spot on the clouds. I mean, look at this thing when it comes around here and tell me that this sun is 93 million miles away. It simply is not. And again, this is not a ball. This is not the curvature of a ball. Look at it. It balances out there because it's a level plane. When you see it bend, it's because and I'll go back and do the thing in a minute again, but you see there how it's kind of moving with you there. Here it comes rendering this way. You see the light above it. It's like, to me, that looks like, and if you take your little glass dome, watch how easy it is. You can stick it at the middle and just rotate it a little, and you get the little sunlight going around the inside of it. So could it be that Polaris is causing the sunlight? I don't know. It's a get. Look at that thing. You can see it behind it. Watch right here. See it?
There you go. Yep.
Okay, and it's coming through and rendering here. What is this thing if that's the sun? Look at this thing. Here it goes this way. And it looks like you're going around it. You're seeing a different perspective than we see from the ground, because you can't possibly run around the sun that fast. It's not like you'd be able to run around the rendering and see behind it. But from this view, since it's swinging into place, I feel like sometimes you get to see a little bit behind it, to where you might see that it's got a source. Not saying this is true. I just, when I say things like this, maybe it rings true with somebody else's research where they're like, oh, you know what? I've seen something about Polaris being the middle of the universe, and maybe, then they look into it, and that's how we find the truth. Because I haven't read everything. I don't know anything about, I've never seen something that says Polaris is the center of the universe. Actually, I think I have. I think Church of Latter-day Saints believes that, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, it just, it looks like this is like a rendering. This is not 93 million miles away. That is laughable. But anyway, I just think that the reason we show things like this is because people need it's okay to have an open mind. It's okay to question things. That's what life should be about. Anytime you've just taken somebody else's word for it, and then people always say, yeah, but it works. The model of the universe works. Great, fantastic. Then if somebody tells you your car runs on marshmallows and you want to believe that, that's fine with you. I would have a question. I would say, I don't think that marshmallows can operate my car. And if somebody said, but it works, dude, your car drives down the street, I'd be like, all right, you're right. I'll just go on believing that marshmallows run my car. That's what you're basically saying. You just want them to tell you something that feels good and you can go on with your life. And if that's true, then please don't watch my channel. Don't watch my videos.
Yeah, I agree. Just move on. I think what we're trying to do is figure things out. And, one of the things I was talking to somebody just sometime in the last week or so, kind of introducing them a little bit to this topic. And, one of the things they said was, I mean, dude, but all these astronomers and such, and, astrophysics, like, you really think they wouldn't, like, have realized or something? We were talking about something simple like the sun and the moon phases type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, the problem is when you go into astronomy and, literally any astronomy book will emphasize what I'm saying here. When you go into the field of astronomy, you don't go into it to figure out what the moon and the sun and the earth are doing.
No, that's already cemented.
That's not what you cover. You cover equations and star distances and what this twinkle means and how it measures up to that galaxy. You don't cover the basic stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're told in first, second, third grade how it works, and that's it. It's never revisited, right?
Nope.
So, and my analogy to that is basically like, imagine a house that we keep having to make repairs year after year on like the fact that the walls are kind of slouching, on the different levels of the walls are slouching, the roof is starting to cave and whatever. And we say, well, it's just due to time, and it's just due to maybe it was made poorly. But no one's looking at the foundation. And imagine that foundation was built wrong.
Right.
Well, that explains why all the problems you're having upstairs. Oh, duh, we couldn't figure out why the roof sunk in on this side. It was because of the foundation. These astronomers are never pointed to the foundation.
No, and for people who are like study problems in the environment, possibly, and I'm not saying that I believe in global warming, but I do think that people can contribute to that. But if we have people that are actually out there studying it and they have the completely wrong model, then everybody's just wasting time. Nothing's going to come of it, and which is, I think, exactly what's going on. I mean, the truth is important. That if we're being taught something wrong, and there's a reason why somebody would teach you a truth. I mean, teach you a lie. And that's what's the scary thing. You can take your own opinion of that. A lot of people say, oh, it's hiding God, or oh, it's this or that. But really, it comes down to control. That's a huge thing, that they control our thoughts. And you can just think about what you thought about Christopher Columbus in your first 15 years of life versus now. And you'll realize, why would they build somebody up that was a murderer, liar, who got lost? He got lost on his trip. He thought he got to India, named these people Indians, murdered them, raped them, killed their animals, and then lied to them and told them he was God by predicting an eclipse. And this person still has, to this day, a day where it's his own day. We even have President's Day and Columbus Day. Okay, we've got Columbus who gets his own day, his own holiday, and he did nothing. He never even stepped 1 foot, not a foot, into the continental United States. Why do you think he's held to such high esteem? It's because he proved the globe. It's because these guys are jokers. These guys like to fool you, and they'll put their heroes in your face, even though they're villains, and people take the day off work. Hey, happy Columbus Day. Everybody's got Columbus Day. It's a joke. When are people going to wake up that that's not what would happen in real life? It's not what would happen. Unless somebody's fooling you.
It's a fairy tale.
It is. It's all their little story, their little Masonic brethren. They like their little numbers and, all their numbers and their little gematria. It's all just ridiculous. And as long as we just... And you know who argues for them? All the Globers who go around saying how stupid we are. We're such morons. Well, guess what, guys? You turned out exactly as they planned. So congratulations for falling in line with your overlords. And sorry, I'm a dissenter. But I'm going to think for myself for as long as my brain allows me to. I refuse to let somebody else think for me. I think you get one chance at this life. One time here. That's it. And so I'm not going to give that away to somebody else and say, here, you decide for me what's true and what's not. and I'll just go along with the program. Screw that. If it's true, then by me investigating it, I'm going to find it.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you, man. The other analogy that I was just thinking of the other day was I was talking to another guy and almost approached the subject of the flat Earth, right? And then he hit me with it was basically like asking some questions about the sky and the stars, but then he let me know that his brother, I think is either his brother or his brother-in-law, actually works at SpaceX, and he's an astrophysicist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of stood back and just backed off and whatever, because bottom line is you're not going to be able to convince, or I don't think anyway, it's going to be really tough hill to climb convincing this guy that his brother is being scammed, right?
Right.
Because I could tell the guy was really proud of his brother, as he should be,
I agree. They're very smart.
Yeah, very smart. And math is very complex. And, I get it. I'm not taking anything away from them. But imagine somebody like, you remember the old game that a bunch of people played, was it Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
You remember that? Okay, so imagine somebody like deep into that game came up with one little equation that could kind of like account for some of the things that happened in this game. The order of the cards that were flipped or whatever. They came up with a mathematical way. And then another guy came along, a mathematician, and he says, wait a minute. And he starts drawing on that formula. Another formula that you can make is, well, basically every time the dice hits this and blah, blah, blah. I don't know enough about Dungeons and Dragons to really make the analogy work, but you see where I'm going here. You could bring in the smartest guys in the world to expand upon these equations, but guess what? It does not make Dungeons and Dragons real.
Right. Yep.
So I respect the heck out of the math that's being involved that actually works out with the connect the dots they're playing up there with the stars, but it doesn't mean it's really real.
No, I have people who tell me, how dare you question the moon landings? My grandpa worked on the Saturn V. It's like, okay, great. If I told you that I drove my car to Hawaii from San Francisco, you wouldn't believe me. And if I told you, well, how dare you? My dad worked on that muffler. Well, that might be true, that my dad did work on the muffler of the car. It doesn't mean that the car drove to Hawaii. Okay,
right.
That's not a true fact. And so there's certain things that people need to separate. And what's even worse is that you need to be mad at this American government that exploited people like that. They exploited the thoughts and ingenuity of people and brought the whole country together to develop this rocket to go to the moon, and they didn't go to the moon. They fooled you, but they knew if you figure this, if 10 people got together and created the Saturn V and created the moon lander and created all these things at just 10 people, then we would have a problem. Everyone would say, oh, those 10 people could be lying. Those 10 people could be pretending that they went to the moon. So what did they do? They handed out jobs to everyone across the country. They made everybody emotionally invested. We need you to build this part, you to build this. We need you to build the seats, and you build this. So now you've got the entire country who's invested in this moon landing. And then they can easily say, how could it be a conspiracy? Everybody would have to be in on it. No, it's not. Just the people who are in charge of the launching. And even that, you could have somebody behind the curtain who, on a very small level... Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just, that's what I think people fail to realize, is that it's not a matter of, they purposefully compartmentalize everything that they do. And we know this because we've talked to people that have their individual little sectors, and they don't go outside of that. So somebody who's in charge of the programming of the satellite that goes to Juno is in charge of one little component. And they spend months on it, and they get it perfect, and it's done mathematically, and everything's fine. And then next thing they know, 6 months later, they see a rocket take off that NASA tells them is going to put that in orbit. Then that person would never assume that they could be lied to, because guess what? On Monday morning, they could show up at their computer and they're getting data. Oh, I'm getting data. Yep. Here comes the data from my satellite I built. Why would that person ever question that unless somebody told them the whole thing's a scam? You need to look into it. Anybody out there in the industry, please. Oh, yeah, good. It would take somebody putting their job on the line, but I mean, if you purposefully messed up some segment of a satellite that would make it, I don't know, nobody's going to do that because they're going to lose their job if they do. So it's a great little deception that is really tough for people to see.
Yeah, if you're doubting that, if you're someone who doubts doubts the deception, do yourself a favor. Just for a second, I think I've heard you say this before. Imagine there is one. Just imagine there's a deception. Imagine you're in charge of it. And wouldn't it benefits you, if you're trying to deceive, if you've got the money coming in for it, let's take X amount, let's set it aside, and let's hire as many people as we can, everyday Joes, right, that aren't going to be in on this. They don't know what my deception is, and let's let them work on these little individual parts of the imaginary project.
Right.
Well, all that does is it means that, each one of these guys that comes into the fold, let's say I hire 10,000 people. Well, those 10,000 people, they actually know personally in life probably at least 10 people themselves, right?
Right.
Well, that's 100,000 people now that say, oh, I know someone who works for them. They build up their defense. The deception's defense is built in. And you say, well, they wouldn't really hire these people. Yes, they would. They're getting how many billion a year?
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this image here. I mean, is this what the sunrise would look like on a ball Earth? I mean, all of it. I mean, this isn't even what it looks like from the ISS. But again, if you look at this and you realize what we're talking about being inside of something, and here comes this light, and it's appearing to us, because we're looking through more atmosphere the further we look, that it's bending. It looks like it's bending, but it doesn't look like it's bending like a ball. That's not what we're seeing. We're seeing a circle of light around us. We're the radius, and we see the sun getting closer, and it's starting to spread its light. And it's just, I don't know. If I saw anything that looked like a ball besides, well, NASA's pictures don't look like a ball. It looks like a disc. Yeah. It looks like a disc out there in space. And again, we've looked at Simon's own words when what's his name, Simon, his own words when he says that it's all contrived. It's all data based. I mean, this is just not from, in my opinion, not from a ball. And there's nothing that says I have to accept what anybody tells me. And just like you don't have to hear what I say and accept it. And I don't want that from anybody, because people can be wrong, and that's that's a fact, and everybody's wrong. And so, for me, I just want to keep looking into it until I see something that proves to me what I was taught was true. And it doesn't seem that way. Again, you were taught one thing was a stupid, ancient desert wandering belief. That's what you were taught. And you were taught the other thing was scientific and everything was right about it. And if you've looked into it at all, then I hope you see that, it certainly seems like one has some interesting points and the other one has some errors. So why were we taught one was the stupidest thing that it could be? That makes me think that there was a deception. What I was going to say too, when you said about getting these people, and have you heard the thing like 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon or something like that?
Of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So if you look at it like that with something like Sandy Hook, right? That you kind of do this and you put these names, and then before you know it, there's people everywhere that will say, I knew somebody who knew somebody. I knew somebody who knew somebody. I knew somebody who helped it. I knew somebody who knew somebody who worked at NASA, and they love that because it's just more people who confirm their story, and it doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's true at all. Even if somebody says, I worked on it. I myself worked on it. Think of like hypnotism. I don't know if you've ever seen hypnotism, but I've been to a hypnotism show, and it was a show, but it so happened that either the show was meant for just me or the show was real, that there was this kid sitting next to me. He was with his parents, and when they asked people to go line up to be hypnotized, he told his parents, like, hey, can I go? They're like, no, don't go. He's like, no, I want to try it. And they're like, no, don't go up there. But he went up there anyway, so he's in line. Well, anyway, throughout the whole show, he became the person at the very end that like walked across these coals and walked on somebody's back and just all this stuff. When he came back to his seat and sat down, then the guy woke him up from the stage, and he had no idea. And I was sitting right there, like it wasn't like they were trying to fool me. I mean, it was fooling the whole audience. But I mean, the guy, he was a real person. He just got hypnotized. And then I've seen people do it. Now I know how they do it. Like if you walk quickly across hot coals, your feet don't have time to get hot. That's basically the trick that they use. But what I'm saying is that you can hypnotize people to do things that they otherwise wouldn't have done. So when you know that, I don't know. I don't trust anybody to say that they've been somewhere or they've done something. How do we know it's true? It takes.
Yeah, and I know you guys have said this a million times, but as far as the compartmentalization goes, I mean, how many people really have to be in on it? I mean, it's a handful.
Yeah, it's not many.
Everyone else is doing their job properly.
Right. Yeah, that's what I think. I don't ever say like, I hate NASA employees or, I'm not like that, because I know that NASA employees on the large level are just people who have gone to school, they've done the studies, they believe in it, and what better tool is there for NASA to employ than these people who believe in the story, who are given jobs, who do the jobs. Again, here's the thing, is anything that you believe to be true, you have to have sufficient evidence for. Like if somebody asked me, Jaron, do you believe in Australia? I've never been there. Okay, and I would say, yes, I totally believe. In fact, I know that Australia exists. And if they said, well, how do you know that? I would say, well, my mom's been there, and I trust her. But if it was just my mom, well, maybe I would have questions about it. But I know that there's other people who have never met me or my mom who say that they've been there. And there's people that have taken pictures, and there's books about it. And you start to draw it out. You're like, okay, all these people are from different areas, and they all agree on Australia existing. Now, when you look at space, you kind of get the same thing. Lots of people writing books, lots of people talking about it, going to school for it, but we've got a problem that there's only one group that gets to go there, and that's how you verify things. You cannot just agree with, okay, well, it's only NASA that goes. Now, you can say, oh, Roscosmos, they all work together. We know that. The space station right now, they supposedly has Russians and Americans there. So these people talk to each other. They're not independent lines of inquiry like my mom, who has no connection with somebody who says they live there. That's totally different. In this case, if there was a space agency that had never heard of NASA, and we could prove that, they'd never even heard of them, and they're up there in space, then you've got a second person's opinion. You've got another mode of inquiry. You've got somebody else verifying. We don't have any of that. And if you're talking about somebody sitting at home with a telescope and somebody across the world who's got their telescope, they are not confirming anything other than, does what NASA show us look like what we can see from the ground? And of course it would. I mean, if you're going to fake the moon landing, you have to make the moon look like what people see from Earth. That's your only job. And then you've confirmed it, because then you can say, I can see the moon. I see the mountains on the moon from my telescope. Fantastic. Doesn't mean we went to the moon. That doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, I don't think people see that.
No, I don't either. I've faced some of the same exact comments, when I've approached the subject with people, and some of the comments on my video as well. But I know you get it times 10. And I've spent so much time early on in this, not just watching a flat Earth video, but then researching, like everyone always says, don't listen to what we say, do your own research.
Right.
I did that. And it just, the thing that really tipped the scales for me was the fact that so many aspects of this, Jaron, end up the same way. The flat Earth can show you a rudimentary experiment why this works on the flat Earth, but the globe guys, their answer to everything is something that just so happens to be due to scale or due to size or whatever. We can't really demonstrate it.
No, and yeah, again, remember what they tell us about refraction, because for me that's a big one, that they're telling you that, those pictures of Canagale Mountain or these images that we're seeing of too far are because refraction lifts up things from behind the globe and brings them up to the horizon for some reason. It's a change, but we're not changing mediums, right? There is no, I'm in the air, I'm standing above the water, I'm not in the ocean, and I'm looking across, let's say I look across Lake Michigan and I see Chicago. That is all air that I'm looking through. Yes, it's different kinds of air, different temperatures and everything. I agree. But we've been told that refraction takes place because of a change in medium. So yeah, there's a change in the air going across the water. But really, when would the most refraction take place? It would take place when you are in space where there's no atmosphere at all. It's the least dense place there is, and you're looking through the atmosphere at the Earth. So when we look at the ISS, why isn't the sun being refracted there the most that we've ever seen refraction? Why aren't things being lifted, and the sun should be way above? We should see it skip. It doesn't do any of that. It doesn't do any of that because there's no such thing. I don't think that refraction is even, in fact, I think it would bend the other way. Now again, I got to look into that a little bit more, but I think the reason we might see, or some people might think they see curve, like for instance, I don't know if you've seen that test that the guy did at Lake Pontchartrain, and it shows what looks like a curve. It looks like these telephone poles are going down. Is that due to refraction? Because we know that there's convergence. We know that things get squished the closer they get to the horizon. So wouldn't things get squished at the horizon? Wouldn't they give us the appearance of things going down at the horizon? Wouldn't things look like they're kind of going over a ball, or wouldn't they look like they're getting smaller? To me, that's the opposite. That's not what they teach us about refraction. How is something lifting something up? It doesn't make sense. There's no reason why I should be able to see something that's behind a curve. It's behind a curve.
That's what I've been saying for the longest time, Jaron. And I was so glad when Rob Skiba did his experiment where he showed how buildings were, or could be blocked, right, due to the magnification. What I'm waiting on is for one of the globe-sided guys, just somebody, anyone, do me. I don't care how, ghetto rudimentary it is. I don't care. Show me an experiment where you can make something literally come around a corner, go around the corner of a ball, lift up and be visible due to some sort of refraction, and not the ones that are inverted.
Right. I'll bring up that video too.
I still have yet to see it, and yet that is their go-to excuse.
Yeah, and I'll bring up the Rob Skiba video because in that video I'll show you what they did. They cheated, and I try to bring it up to people, and they don't get it. They're like, nope, don't see any problem with it. I'm like, okay, well then that's fine. You don't even understand when somebody's cheated an experiment, and you don't get it. Let me bring it up. Rube Skiba. There he is.
There he is, Rube.
Hey, Rube. And Rob Skiba is somebody out there doing tests and experimenting. Yep. And believe me, if he comes across something that tells him that the Earth is not flat, he's going to admit it. He's not somebody who's out here to lie to you. He's not stealing your money or whatever. None of anybody who's asking for donations, and I'm one of them. It's not required. All my videos are free. So you can cry all you want that I'm asking for money or I'm asking for donations, but guess what? You don't have to pay a penny. So it's free for you. So relax. Yep. I'm complaining about a government agency that takes money from us.
Yeah, that we're giving money to, right?
Right.
Involuntarily.
I don't get a choice. You know what? I wouldn't have a problem with NASA if they were a choice. If there was a choice, hey, let these guys show you CGI and lie to your face, then I would say, no, I'd rather not. Okay, great. You don't have to pay money to them. But that's not the way it works. And they're teaching it in schools. That's right. The problem.
I see the comment all the time, Jared, that guys like yourself, Rob Skiba, anyone that's doing these experiments, that we're cherry picking. And I'm like, good God, if you only knew. No, I know Rob, I know myself. You. If there's an experiment that is shown that is not in our favor, yes, we'll show you the results. It's not like we took. It's the reason you're telling everyone go get one of these magnifying glass domes.
Right.
It's so that you can look for yourself. It's not like we got 2 hours of footage that doesn't show the trails reversing.
Right.
And then we got 2 seconds where it did, and like, okay, quick, post that.
Right.
That's not what's happening.
Or it's
in fact, what I've learned from my research is that, if anything, mainstream science has been cherry picking for years.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's just like they tell me, you're fooling people on purpose. You did your globe test wrong on purpose. Like, what?
No.
Why would I purposely be wrong? It doesn't make any sense. That sucked. That sucked to have to go back and say, oh, well, shit, I made this video and I challenged people over something that I did incorrectly on my experiment. That sucks. You don't like to be that one, and I usually don't. But that's, one case where I wasn't paying attention to I didn't know that the spin axis of my globe was so important that it couldn't be a little bit off, and it was falling down the little stick a little bit. Okay, so this test here, wait, is this Rob Skiba's? Yeah, so I'm trying to find...
Yeah, that's it.
Where do those guys do their test? I thought it was in this video. Maybe it's a different video?
Oh, I think it's in their video where they do the test. Yeah, it's in that video.
Yeah, I'm trying
maybe
to find
back it up a little bit.
Oh, here it is. Wait, maybe, no.
That's Rob's test that I thought was brilliant.
Okay, here it is. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, now, pay attention here. This guy's saying, if you look through this magnifying glass, that this building, which is lower than this table, is being brought up. So what is the problem here? What is missing from this experiment? How about the huge body of water that is supposed to be here? They completely removed the body of water. Now picture, like I've told people this before, if you stood up in your bedroom and looked at the wall, and you put a mark on the top of it, and a mark in the middle, and a mark at the bottom of the wall, and you're just looking at it. If you put a magnifying glass to your eye, well, you're going to be able to see all 3 marks. Because you put the magnifying, it's now magnifying that wall, and you can see all 3 marks. Now do the test again and put a blue piece of, or a black piece of construction paper right under your eyes. So that instead you're not going to be able to bring up the bottom mark that's underneath that black piece of paper. That black piece of paper is blocking you. And so this is just a false test.
The other thing that stood out to me on this test was the fact that it really kind of strengthened what David Weiss says with the put it in the globe only bucket, flat only bucket, or both bucket, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it on a flat table.
Right.
So, like, I mean, granted, maybe if they would have done it on a ball, they would have gotten the same result, and it's flawed because of what you're saying. But you're doing it on a flat table, so you just basically proved that we could make objects come closer with a magnifying glass on a flat table.
Right. You know, the only thing about a flat Earth is there wouldn't be anything below that line.
Well, that's true.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
But I mean, okay, let's keep this as a flat Earth, right? So let's say this table's flat, we know that. Now continue from that table and put a bunch of water in a pool, okay? So there's flat water all the way to the wall. And then put the buildings right at where the water ends, okay? So now we've got the table, water, and then the buildings. And if you looked through this magnifying glass, what would the magnifying glass magnify?
What's in front of it?
What's in front of it, which is the water, which would cause you to see water higher than water is, and guess what? That water would cover those buildings. And that's
Right.
exactly
If
what we
there's any water
see.
between, if there's any water between that magnifying glass and that building, you're right. The water is going to be magnified and placed in front of the building.
Right. And that's exactly what we see. So this is what we're saying, is that we're showing people examples and experiments, and they go around and try and say we're lying, how am I lying about that? How am I lying about what I just told you? You can go test that. We don't need an experiment to show us that we know that the magnifying glass magnifies everything behind it. Okay, so if you put water behind it and then some buildings, well, guess what? You're going to magnify both, but the water, which is closer, is going to cover the buildings in the back by about half as much. And then you wonder, well, geez, when I go look at pictures from everywhere, what am I seeing? What do we see when we look at across Lake Michigan? What do we see when we look across the CN Tower? Let me look at that real quick and show you that. That's what we're seeing. And we're not seeing the kind of curvature that we're told we'll see. We're not seeing curvature to where these buildings are completely gone.
No.
We're seeing half the buildings every time. Well, isn't that the case of what you would see if you put, like that test that guy just did? Is it called CN Tower? Yeah, it is. CN Tower, Toronto from New York. Okay.
Yeah, no. In fact, very few of them match up to what it would obstruct mathematically using the curvature formula. Very few of them will do that. I mean, will maybe one of them, two of them, where there's obstruction involved in a building and a bed of water, will it match up to how much is covered? Well, eventually, probability says yes. You know what I mean? If you come up with enough of them, but the fact that it doesn't show it in every picture, like when 400 feet should be obscured due to the curvature, but it's only obscuring like 180 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that still doesn't go. I mean, that doesn't explain what we're seeing.
Right. And if you look at this picture here, like for instance, remember you're looking through all that air, so that's a long way. I don't. What is it from Toronto? Is it like 30 miles?
Yeah, I want to say it was 26 or 30 miles or something like that.
Now, to me, this might be something that we can actually prove. That to me, these buildings here are magnified. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Does anybody in the chat? I can look in the chat. I don't remember the distance, but it's either 30 or 60 or it's something significant. But go ahead.
Because really, if you think about, okay, we know how much things reduce with distance, right? I mean, if you got a car and drove 200 yards away from me, it would probably disappear. So we know that that's something I think that's calculable, how much something disappears with distance. So to me, the buildings that we see across Lake Michigan should not be seen because of the size. So if we are seeing them, I think that that's the proof that they're being magnified, which then you have to say, well, everything's being magnified. Everything behind it, meaning this entire scene, this whole block of scene here is being magnified. Have you ever been to the beach when you can see that the water is darker the further you look out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is a case of you're looking through multiple waters, right? Like the water in front of you, you're looking at the water, but as you look out further, there's more and more and more water that you're seeing. But that's what makes it like that, darker band, right? And that's what looks like it's being reflected. That's what looks like it's being magnified or lensed or whatever you want to call it.
If you're looking from above, we know that the darker water obviously is like indication of depth.
Oh, yeah, but if you're looking from above too, right?
But when you're looking from a horizontal point of view, you're right. It's basically like taking a blue filter, putting it over your camera or your eyes, and then maybe a few inches up, put a second blue filter that's covering only the top of that. Well, it gets bluer, darker. Then go up a little bit, put a third blue filter, and so now you're looking through three. yeah, you're right. You're looking through more of that water.
Right, and then another thing with that too is if you really think about it, and this is again, you just have to know what they say is true, because they say that the water, the colder it is, the more dense it is, right? And we know that like waves coming into the beach, like really, if you really look at it, well, if waves are coming into the beach, then the place where the highest water would be probably around the beach. That you would actually have the water lower the deeper out, and I mean when I'm saying lower, I mean a foot, right? Because you have a wave that's coming in, or 4 feet. And then if you really think about it, that is the coldest water, because there's that upwelling going, and the coldest water would be the most dense. So really, if there's the lowest part of the water, it's always going to be out in the middle, which when we see boats going out that way, well, just something to think about. I'm going to look up Chicago from Michigan.
Oh, that one's like 56 miles or...
Yeah, that's the one that
50
seems like it's too far for me, because I've also seen, well, I guess it was from 70 miles. I saw downtown New York. So I guess that one probably would be a little different.
I got some really good footage a few months ago from Lake Pontchartrain. I took it myself because while I do believe the mountains and mountains of videos out there that show these things, I wanted to see it for myself. And so I went to the the northeast side of the Lake Pontchartrain.
Mm-hmm.
I put my P900. I set it up literally 18 inches above the water.
Mm-hmm.
And shot towards, if I was on the top right of the lake, I shot down into the left, which would be southwest, and, got the a famous building in Metairie, Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans. It's like the Executive One building, Executive One Tower. And then I Googled, and it's a very, very very specific building. You know it because it's got a large cube on the top of it. And it's the highest building in Metairie, Louisiana. And, it's 214 feet, I say, tall. But I'm looking across this lake. I'm 18 inches above the lake. And that's 26 miles of water.
Mm-hmm.
Well, curvature says that thing should be 400 feet, 450 feet below the horizon. There is not a single test out there that I've seen that can show me how that building, and I can see clearly the top half of it. I could even see it with the naked eye, Jaron. I didn't have to use the camera. So with the naked eye, I could still see the building. But then when I zoom in, I could identify the building clearly. And, there's nothing that can show me. Someone's going to have to show me a really good test or a really good experiment to show me how that building could go up another 200 feet to get even with the horizon, and then add another 120 feet so that I could see that much of it.
Right, and if you saw something like this, when the guy says this is a mirage, then this is what we should see. This is a mirage. It's been flipped.
Yep.
It's been distorted. It is not the actual buildings because they're upside down. Okay?
Correct.
The other images, when we see Chicago right side up, not reflected, not flickering, not distorted, that is not a mirage. We know what a mirage is. This is a mirage. This person was right. When I saw the superior mirage, I was like, oh, no, it's not. That is a superior mirage. That's exactly what that is. And we know because it's upside down. It's upside down. It's not even right side up. But they are calling the same thing when you see this. They're saying that this is a mirage. And if you just listen to them and say, okay, well, they said that's a mirage, so this... No, we know what mirages do. They don't flip things upside down. This is not a mirage. Where's the upside down? Where's the distortion? Where's the everything? It's not what we're seeing here. So it's just something that people need to figure out for themselves. And that's another thing that, when I'm trying to show proof, I need to get back to this because I need to realize that I'm trying to show proof to people that are looking for the truth. People that want to fight me about it, people that want to disagree, they're going to disagree no matter what I show them. It doesn't matter if I showed them a picture of the edge. They're going to say it's faked. So it doesn't matter to me that if they don't want to, if they don't want the truth, then that's fine. Then don't watch my channel. Obviously, the amount of people that sit there and watch every video I do to comment how wrong I am is kind of weird to me because I don't watch anybody's video that I don't agree with. I don't just watch every video they do.
I've always thought that was strange. Guys who taken it up as their mission to shut this thing down or whatever. Like that really just strikes me as weird.
Yeah, totally. It's weird. It's like, it's just something I would never do. I mean, I can't picture, it doesn't matter what you said on your YouTube channel, unless you were like talking about my family or something. I can't picture going to your channel and commenting like, "You idiot!" Da, da, da. You know, it's just something I don't need to do.
There's I used to say like conspiratorial line that I would draw. Just for me personally, I've never done enough research, so I'm not insulting anyone. I don't want to insult anyone, but I've never been one to subscribe to the whole reptilian thing, right?
Right, me neither. Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't like visit every single YouTube video and blog page that claims that reptilians are real and just keep, making my life mission to do that. I've got a job, I've got other interests, I've got things to do.
Right. Yeah.
And
totally.
I've never understood these. If you've got an experiment to show or a really good comment that none of us have addressed, please bring it on. But refraction and a bunch of magic words that can't be demonstrated in any test because of scale or whatever. I'm over it, Jaron. I don't want to hear it. I want to see something with substance.
Well, it's like they don't think that they really think we came out of a cave and said the Earth's flat, and we've never been to school, and we didn't learn the same things you did. It's like the people who talk like, oh, here, now we're going to go through what the Coriolis force is. And then when you look north and you throw a paper airplane, it's like, I know, I've already heard all that. And it doesn't explain to me anything that matches real life. So that's great. I know how Coriolis force works. And if you look it up, it says it's a fictitious force. So, I know exactly what it is. I don't need you to explain that to me. I don't need to know the excuses that we're all told in school. Sometimes if we get something wrong, well then, that's great that you point that out. Tell me I'm wrong about it for whatever reason. But I mean, when they're just saying the same things, of course that it does that because of gravity, dude. Gravity, and then they drop their pencil. That is not proof of anything. They're basically saying because they can drop their pencil and it hits the paper, that makes sense to them that the whole universe operates the way it does. That the planets go around the sun and that the moon goes around the earth and that everything we see is the same as them dropping their pencil. It's like, no. To me, how easy is gravity described as everything that's heavy, then it's medium, whatever it's in goes to the ground. If it's heavier, if it's lighter, it goes up. And then you look and you got rocks and dirt and pebbles and mud that's all on the bottom and water. And then as you go higher, you get to the air. And then in the air, nothing is really lighter than that other than like hydrogen and helium. And those things go up. And there you go. That's how the universe constructed itself. And that's how it works. I don't need to hear gravity because they can't explain to me how a helium balloon goes up. Then how does gravity know it has weight? It has weight. It doesn't weigh negative. So how does it...
Well, look at the, one of the things I was mentioning to somebody the other day is if you asked science to, it doesn't have to be to scale, but just build me a model. You've got that big, huge vacuum chamber where you do fake bowling ball feather drops, right? Go to that vacuum chamber and build me a ball with an atmosphere that goes around it and demonstrate the Coriolis effect. Just show me, demonstrate the fact that the spinning ball will show us a Coriolis effect. Well, obviously they can't do it. And say, oh, to scale, we can't build anything that big. But how many concepts, how many of these things that we're taught as fact fall under the whole we can't demonstrate it category? When you stop and think about the model, the spin, the Earth going around the sun, well, that can't be demonstrated. The moon going around the Earth, that can't be demonstrated. The Earth spinning itself can't be demonstrated. The atmosphere sticking to it can't be demonstrated. The water curving around the ball can't be demonstrated. None of it can be demonstrated. Nope. And it drives me nuts that we're the crazy ones.
Well, I'm crazy because I just realized that all those videos I was just watching, I didn't have it on. Nobody saw any of that.
Oh, man. Dude.
It's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. Oops.
I should have nobody watching by now. If I was watching, I'd be like, I'm not watching this anymore. This is crap.
This is ridiculous.
Let me go back and show the actual Mirage. That was interesting. I don't know what order I was watching everything else. I just looked at the screen. I was like, oh, don't tell me. Oh, please. I'm
gonna have to sell you out and just be like, sorry, Jaron's got the wheel here.
It's definitely me. Where was that one? Now I don't remember where that was. It said Superior Mirage. Oh boy. I'll find it for you. But yeah, there was one that said Superior Mirage, and they showed it clearly what a Mirage difference is. Why did nobody in the chat tell me? But it's probably because I'm not looking at it. It's probably the reason. I'm sure many people were yelling. It's pretty sad. I think it's funny. I'm sorry. I feel really bad.
Oops.
But if anybody wants to be my producer, is that what they call him? Or I don't know, director or whatever. Somebody who just switches the screens for me. Jeez. I need to get my wife to do it. It's pretty sad. She's actually, I think she's outside doing weeding, believe it or not. That's pretty sad. I should be doing that.
Oh.
Okay, where's the Supreme Rush? This one here. No, where's that video we just watched? It was like really...
Oh, they're really mad now.
Are they yelling and screaming? It was like this one, but it was the buildings. I don't know where it is. I don't see it. Hey, look at this. Is a good video. Oh, that's mine. Oh, here it is. This is the one we just watched. So we were saying that this one here is clearly a mirage. You know, when he says this is a mirage, well, this is what you should see. This is a mirage. You've got distortion. You've got upside down. You've got reflection. All this stuff is a mirage. So if this is the image that meteorologist showed and then said it's a mirage, well, we'd be like, yep, it's a mirage. You're right. But that's not the video he shows. He shows the one where the buildings clearly are rendered. And that's not a mirage. So anyway, this is a mirage. See, this is because of... but now this kind of shows people, too. If you look at... This is basically the height of that extra layer, or, the layer that's... So this whole thing is lensing. This whole piece here. That's why you're seeing it basically reflect off the top of that. That's what that reflection is on. So pretty crazy. Well, now Dave Weiss is going to message me and probably tell me I didn't have it on. Thanks. A little late there, dude. You're not screen. I hate you, dude.
I just got to tell Jaron he's not sharing. He probably said that half an hour ago. Whoops.
Let me see. 8:52. I'm going to check it. Nope, he just said it 2 minutes ago. A lot of help that was. Oh boy, that's too funny. Let me see if we see anything here. And check out Russian vids. He does great work, and he's talking about this right here. This guy. Look at this drawing here, and tell me, does this make any sense to you? That this is what this light is going up and around, and I've never understood the whole idea of refraction, because they can't then show me the whole idea. When a straw goes through water, that's refraction, because what's happening is you're changing mediums. You're in air, and then boom, you're hitting water, which is light travels, then it hits the water, which slows it down, so it renders it a new place for you. But that's not what's happening here. You're looking across air.
You're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah,
I agree.
And if you're looking through water, then you wouldn't see anything, because you're looking through the ocean. You can't see stuff through the ocean. So it's pretty funny. And let's see. I'm sure he has an image here somewhere. But he's showing this one and saying this is a mirage, and these are the buildings. They're not upside down. So where's the upside down reflection? If it's a reflection, we're not seeing that.
Yeah. When I did my my test over Lake Pontchartrain, my Executive 1 tower was not inverted in any way.
And if you look at this image here, for instance, when we're talking about the lensing, when we were talking about those guys doing that experiment, that literally the buildings would go down to about, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but if you can, it's about right here, probably where the bottom of these buildings are. And I could be off by a centimeter. I don't know. It's right about here. So then picture that you're looking through that magnifying glass like that guy was showing the meteorologist, but instead of having nothing behind it, which is what the meteorologist showed, you have water behind it. Well, now as you're looking through that, the first thing that the magnifying glass sees after itself is all the water. So the water is going to be lifted up. Now the water can't show us over this because this all is magnified. All this is your lens layer. So it's showing you, but the water covering the buildings would be what you would get, because right after the lens is the water. And that's what I was trying to say about the experiment earlier. But anyway, and people, they can take this stuff and say, no, this is clearly, this is a sign of refraction, and these things are being lifted up. I mean, do the math and figure out how far. You're not supposed to see any of this. That's the problem. You have people out there who believe in the globe who are saying, yeah, but the buildings are covered by water. And we talked about this on the show, right? About the whole idea of there being a hump. There is no hump. You're letting them put in certain rules at certain times, and it's not true. There cannot be a hump of water between you and somebody else, because they tell us that we're all at the top. And if you're at the top and you're looking parallel to the tangent, then there is no hump of water. There's no hump of water between you and the buildings over there, or why isn't the water falling on both of you? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't jive for me anymore at all. And everything that I see is like them explaining it in another way. It's like, oh, everything's sea level. Yeah, well, everything's sea level because we're all level. Well, no, but it's the beach in Australia and the beach in Santa Cruz, California. Are those both level? Well, yes. Okay, then they're both level. Well, no, it's because everything equally pulls to a ball. It's like, no, you're just, sometimes I feel like it's all word salad. Where's the proof of that?
It's atmospheric coagulation.
Atmospheric coagulation. I forgot about that. You're right. It is that. See, I always get those wrong. I always forget about that. Let me go back. Let me go back to the corner and eat worms now because they proved me wrong with the atmospheric coagulation. Boom. I'll show a video I have real quick and then we can kind of wind down. But yeah, if you want to hear more of me and Jay's musings and arguing with the globe, then check out Raw tomorrow night, which is still the undisputed current reigning #1 show on Truth Frequency Radio on Monday nights from 6 p.m. to 9 Pacific, 9 to midnight Eastern, and that's at truthfrequencyradio.com tomorrow. So we'll also be taking calls, so if you want to tell us how wrong we are, but do it in a polite way, then I would love for you to call in and tell us, experiment that we can all do, or a way that we can all come to the conclusion that either we were taught the truth or we weren't, but it certainly seems like to me the more I research, the more I'm not finding anything other than little bits of deception here and there. And does the model work? Sure. I guess the model works if that's all you care about. But I don't like the idea of being lied to and told that I'm a speck in the middle of nothing and that I have there's billions of other planets and there's trillions of other suns and there, all this nonsense that they tell us. What if that's not true? Imagine that there are lights in the sky exactly as you see. Your senses tell you they're right there, they're close, they're nothing, they're minuscule, they're, and you've just allowed somebody else to completely wreck your one chance here because they lied to you. I think that's bullshit.
Correct. Yep, I'm with you, Jaron. I'm about to have to sign off.
Okay, no problem.
Looking forward to tomorrow night. And
sounds good. I'll call your Skype around 5 till or so.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks for joining me. I appreciate
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it, man.
All right, we'll talk soon. So yeah, check out his channel. That is Curious J. And I'm going to show you a video or two. 1 second. Let me find it, and then I'll be out of here as well. Let me find that video if I can locate it. What I'm going to be showing is the this one here, and this one. Okay, so you have lots of people that tell us, and don't worry, I'm going to switch the screen. I'm thinking this time. If I can find it here. So you can see what I'm seeing. Where is this? Okay, here we go. And let me switch to this one, to this. All right. So they tell us that everything in the in space or whatever, the gravity pulls everything to the center. We've all heard all this nonsense. And okay, so this is on a parabolic flight, and here we go. We let go of all these. Now, where are they gathering? Which one is? Where's the center of gravity? Why aren't they all becoming a sphere? Everything just seems to be floating around. Which one's gonna become Earth? Which one's gonna become Mars? Who's gonna raise their hand and say, "I want everything attracted to me"? Where's this gonna happen? Oh, no, didn't seem like they all fell back down to Earth. Imagine that. Shouldn't we be seeing these things gather together? Which one's going to elect? Imagine this is the Big Bang. Okay, we have the Big Bang, and then here comes the Big Bang, and everything flies out in the universe. Who elects who as gravity? Who's in charge? Who's going to be the person that picks the gravity person? Right? Here's the Big Bang. Bang! Everything's out in the universe. Where's planet Earth? Who's going to be a sun? Who's going to elect to be the gravity puller? Who's going to be the gravity puller? Anybody? Nope. They're just all going to float around. So that's one that shows you that. Let me show you another one. And this is because I have people going around saying, oh, the water turns into a sphere in space. Oh, does it? Okay. Because you were told that. I understand that. We were all told that. And when we watch space guys or space actors, what are they doing? They're squeezing the water out of a little straw into a sphere. But think if you took a pitcher of water. Do you really think if you took a pitcher of water and dumped it out in the ISS that it would make a sphere? I mean, this is a water balloon, so it's already starting in a sphere. It's not okay, but look at this. Become a sphere. Become a sphere. Become a sphere. Oh, it was going to become look like a donut. It should. This is all the mass is here. Why aren't we becoming a sphere? Let's look at this one. They're catching. Okay, this one. Remember, it's starting it as a sphere, and it already is not a sphere. Become a sphere. Oh, put some more in there. Become a sphere. Uh-oh. It looks like... Oh, there you go. Look at that sphere. Yeah, everything in space becomes a sphere because everything pulls to the center. Horseshit! Not true. All lies. And people keep promoting it. Keep screaming how great these guys are, and they're heroes that go to the ISS and heroes that are astronauts. Yeah, they lie to your face pretty much every day. And people want to keep believing it. This is not a sphere, by the way. This is a mess. What is this? Is this a sphere? Is that thing going to become a sphere? It doesn't look like it. Oops, but it should have caught that. And mess. So, I mean, and remember, these things are starting as spheres. So if anybody says, well, it's a sphere right here. No, it's not. As soon as they pop it, it's no longer a sphere. And look at that. That looks like a tortilla. That's not a sphere at all. So anybody who tells you that things coalesce as spheres in space, no, they don't. You're just repeating what you heard, because what are they going to tell you? That it doesn't? It doesn't make a lot of sense if you're going to deceive somebody. Yeah, things don't make spheres in space. Well, then you got everybody questioning, how the hell did the Earth become a sphere? And I mean, what a joke, anyway, that the center of the sphere pulls things to it. How does it know? How does the center of Earth know what to pull and how much to pull? How does it know how much it weighs? How does some other place on Earth not know that it's the center? It's the center of its location, just like I'm the center of mine. So shouldn't a piece of sand, if I stick it to my arm, shouldn't it stick to me? I'm the center of gravity. Well, no, say, well, but the Earth is so much bigger than you. Well, if that's how it works, then there would be one planet in the universe. One. And everything would be stuck to it. How did they get apart from each other? How at the Big Bang did everything fly out? And then Mars said, okay, I'm going to be the center of gravity over here. Jupiter, you want to pick a team? All right, you got a team over there. Saturn, you want to pick some people? All right, you over there. Don't pull up the moons. Leave the moons out. But everything else will gather. And it's just nonsense. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Gravity doesn't exist. Not like that. It's just so simple when you think about it. If it weighs more than the surrounding area, then it falls down. And if it weighs less, then it rises. So what weighs less than air? Helium, hydrogen, and air weighs less than dirt, so air is on top of dirt. And dirt weighs less than air, more than air, so it's on the ground. And cement weighs more, and water weighs more, and that's how the Earth is made up. But somebody wanted to tell you that you live on a ball spinning in space, which is nothing, with an atmosphere connected to it that knows exactly where it's at because it has to spin it at equal speed. And yet nobody on the history of this world has ever felt it spin. No, nobody's ever looked at the sun and said, yeah, it looks to me like we're spinning. And you're saying, if you watch the show with the senses, your senses do not fool you. Your senses save your life every single day, at every opportunity. And yet people want to tell us your senses don't work. Don't trust your senses. Don't. Yeah, well, when do my senses not work? When you tell me that the sun is 1,000,000 times the size of Earth? When you tell me that how far it is? When you tell me that the stars that I see are at minimum 25 trillion miles away? That's the only time you do that. What else give me a time when my senses fail me that are not a setup, that's not a trick, that's not a deception, that's not some sort of I don't know, some sort of illusion. Those don't count. We're not saying that things that they set up. Yeah, you can fool my senses. You can go stick a bowling ball at the top of my door in my bedroom, and when I go in there, the bowling ball is going to fall and hit me in the head. You can't say at that point, Jaron, your senses failed you. No, they didn't. My senses had no reason to think there would be a bowling ball above the door when I went into the room. So that was a trick. You tricked my senses. So give me an example of sometime when our senses fail us when they have not been tricked. Because my senses tell me I see the sun. It's very simple. I watch it every day. I see where it rises, it goes above me, and goes over there and sets. That's what my senses tell me. There's nothing that tells me anything close to when I see the sun set, I'm falling backwards. That the sun is stationary, and I'm falling backwards. If that makes sense to you, more power to you. I don't get it. And just to show you, is this the one here? Let's see here. Whoops, don't do that. All right, so I just wanted to show, I don't know where the plain one was. Oh, it was the other one. I guess I grabbed the wrong one. This one? No. I was going to show you the one where the plane, basically, where he got that wrong. But, and they make fun of this and they say, oh, this is such a joke that the whole Earth would be lit up, and they don't get what we're saying. Again, I'll say it again. I'll say it 1,000 times. And if anybody knows how to do like 3D modeling in a program to where you could draw out what I'm about to say, I would appreciate it. I can't find one that lets me do. There's like Home 3D Creator and those kind of things, but they only let you do a room that's in a realistic size, which of course what I'm about to describe is not a realistic size for a room, but it is a realistic size for an Earth. But if you picture the bedroom that you're in, picture it 5 miles by 5 miles. It's huge. But your ceiling is only as tall as it is. So it's 8-foot high ceiling, 5 miles, 5 miles. And then you picture a light above your head. Well, your area of the room there is going to be lit. That's fine. We know that. It's lit. And if that light starts racing across the ceiling, when it gets to, a mile away from you, I don't know how far it would take, maybe 2 or 3, the light will then hit the horizon line. So there is no horizon line there. The horizon is described as the place where the ceiling meets the floor. And that becomes a horizon. So somebody could do a video called There Is No Horizon on Flat Earth. Okay, because there is no horizon. The horizon is an illusion. It is the convergence of the ceiling and the ground. And at that point, you can't see anything past it. So if the light goes taking off away from your head on the ceiling and it gets 2 miles away from you, the light will disappear behind the floor, and it will slowly, because at first you would still see some of that light, and then what would happen? The light would go away. It would be dark where you live in your portion of the room, but in another portion of that room, it's lit. Imagine that. And somebody's going to tell you, well, why can't I pull out a telescope and see the sun? Well, tell them to pull out a telescope in that bedroom and see that light. You can't. A telescope doesn't allow you to see past that point. You would look through a telescope and you would see the convergence of the ceiling and the floor. You would not be able to see the light on the ceiling. It's gone. It's gone past your ability to see. But they tell you can see 25 trillion miles away. 25 trillion. A trillion seconds is 31,000 years. And they tell us that the closest star, other than the sun, which is not a star, 25 trillion miles away. I mean, go out tonight. If it's night for you like it is for me, it's 9 o'clock here. If I go out, the stars are right there. I've been taping them with time lapses since the beginning of this year, and they're right there. They're so close. I don't know how close. I can't tell you. I can't tell you if they're 10 miles, 20 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles. I can't tell you that. I can tell you for sure they're not 25 trillion miles away. Okay, and if you want to believe that, then that's fine. That's just what people say. But where's the evidence of that? Where's the proof? Where's the proof that they're suns? I don't even see that proof. Let me see here. Was there anything else on this one that he was talking about? The whole idea of, and many people show this one, the idea of the sun setting at, or rising and setting at the 90-degree mark everywhere on Earth. And I've already showed people that, and it's the same story. And maybe we can do that real quick before we skedaddle, because I always like to show that. Let me bring up Google Earth 1 second. And then I'll check the chat after that and make sure if anybody's got any questions. Or if you want to talk to Jay and I, you can call the show tomorrow, Raw. 1 second, I'm trying to add this here. And add, let's put in Google. And I'll show you why, this is something I think we were all fooled on, at least I certainly was, because we think of north, south, east, and west as being like cardinal directions, and they stay that way, they don't change. That's just the way we were taught. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. When you find these little lies, why were we taught that? Why did they lie about that? Well, does anybody lie to you to get the truth across? To me, it doesn't seem like that happens. It seems like when people lie, that they're trying to tell you something that's not true. All right, so this should be good here. Okay, I'm going to bring up the globe. There we go. Okay, so transition. All right, so you should be seeing Google Earth, and I'll show you something real quick. I mean, this is crazy too. If I, and I think I showed this in my video, but if I told you we're going to New York, and I said, if we went and just kept going east, so we just keep going east and east and east and east and east and east and east, where would that be? Where is heading east from here? And if I told you it's coming up from the bottom of Australia, you'd say, get the hell out. What are you talking about? That's what east is. Watch. So I don't know if you can see my box here. I'm going to move it over here. I don't know if you can see that. Sometimes I don't think you can. But I'm going to put this at a heading of 90. Okay? So we're heading 90 degrees east, which is right. Oops. dropped it. So this is 90 degrees right there. Okay, 90.51. So that's 90 degrees east from New York. Because if you stay in the same direction, you are actually doing a great circle. Okay, so if anybody thinks, they might think that if you go on a line of latitude, like let's go to 50 degrees. Okay, so we're spinning this thing this way. Let's go to 50 degree latitude. Okay, so right here is 50. Okay, so if somebody said you'd go east from here, so people think that that is the line that goes around this way. Sorry, to go on that line, you have to turn your plane to the left. You are not, if you went straight 90 degrees, this is 90 degrees from there. Okay, so if you went straight from 50 degrees, now you might notice something here. And this is what I tried to point out, and people want to still scream out, well, how does the sun rise every day at 90 degrees on the equinox? Well, what does 90 degrees mean? Are you talking about 90 degrees from every location? Because I hate to tell you, if we draw a line from right here, 90 degrees for everybody. So let's go to here. That is 89, 90. Well, you'll start to notice something. Well, wait a second. 90 degrees is always passing the equator. Isn't that funny? So no matter where I am, so if I save that, save. Now we'll do 90 degrees from here. Okay. So we'll do, what happened to my thing? Okay. 90 degrees from here. And we're going to draw this one. And go 90 degrees from here. Well, look at, now all of a sudden something interesting is happening. Why is 90 degrees from every location point directly at the equator? Isn't that funny? Because they love to tell you, what do they love to say? But the sun rises on the equinox at 90 degrees for everyone. Well, yeah, of course it does. The sun is rising above the equator. So if everybody's 90 degrees is looking at the equator, what is hard to figure out here? The thing that's hard to figure out is we were lied to, because we think, if I turn this around, we think 90 degrees is this way. So we think everybody's looking this way. Everybody's not looking that way. Everybody's looking at the same spot. So on a flat Earth, when the sun comes around here on the equator, then of course it rises at 90 degrees for everyone, because everyone's 90 degrees is looking at the equator. So it's just, these are the kind of things that they think they've got it all figured out. We know how the globe works. It works perfectly. Well, yeah, it does work perfectly because they took the real Earth and then reverse engineered it. So of course it worked. How would it not work? That'd be a terrible job of reverse engineering. If you reverse engineer something and it doesn't work, then you probably didn't do a very good job. But they did do a good job. They completely fooled people. He was showing this map and saying, oh, and flat-tards think that planes have to constantly turn to go around this circle. And he's calling other people names. He's calling us geometrically challenged. He's calling us shit for brains. And he thinks that a plane can just point in one direction and go around the Earth. Sorry, not how it works. If you stood at this line, or started at this line in your plane, and you said, okay, set heading east, this would be your heading east. Okay, so if he thinks you're going to go around, go ahead and have fun going around the northern circle here when you're going this way. That's 90 degrees east from there. So he's calling other people names, saying that we're idiots, and doing it in a fancy voice, and people, oh, have you seen Cool Hard Logic? He debunked this, he debunked that. I don't even watch his videos. He's lucky I watched those too. I'm not going to listen to somebody call other people idiots when they're repeating things like this, saying, oh, and flat-tards might want to ask, or might want to get somebody to stand up and say, hey, our planes are turning around like this. And he says, nobody, this is what he said, nobody in the history of the world has ever seen that happen, that's never been observed. And yet, this is how wrong he is. It's every single time anybody in the history of the world has done that. It's been observed every single time. But I guess you can just get away with calling people names because you follow science. That's all you got to do. Imagine how easy it is for people just to follow science. All you have to do is say science. Wikipedia. Gravity, bitch. That's all you got to do. And you get to be considered smart. You get to join little forums. You get to have little friends. You get to parade around and think you're smart because you think the universe came from nothing and that this is all accidental and there's nothing after you die. And that's it. That's the smart people. That's what happened to our world. Let me check out the chat and see if anybody's got any questions. And then I'll go from there. Let's see. I'm looking. If you have a question, can you put my name in there so I can see the little highlight? And I will have another 15 minutes or so. And I'm going to close this down. Hopefully that doesn't do anything over here. Nope. Discard. Okay. There we go. And let me get you something else here. Not that. Yeah, we'll go with that. Oh, I was going to show you. I'll play with this a little bit more while you ask me questions, I guess. Let's see. All right, so I'm looking for questions, and what's this other mouse here? 1 second. Let me scroll back up. But you remember, you have to put my name in it because I can only see the highlights here. I'm all by myself now. Nobody's with me. All right, I scrolled up a little bit. I don't see anything with my name, so far I think there's no questions. And that's what I'm going to go with. So no questions yet. Uh-oh. Are we still on? Oh, there we are. Sorry. Visual ed, another debate. I don't know what that means. Oh. Fepe has always known the Earth is flat. Well, of course he did. They stuck him out in Antarctica and told him, you're out here now. You guys don't get to live with everybody else. And the penguins, they stuck them out there. I think they're... that's the poor animal, man. Those guys, they're miserable. They look like they just have nothing to do but eat. They just waddle around and eat. Let's see here. Anybody else? Thank you so much. Yeah, I see that too. Somebody said every time I watch a flat Earth video too, there's always some commercial at the beginning for like NASA or something. It's funny. Okay, I'm trying to see here. Love you too, White Crow. Thank you. Geocentric love. Jaren, do you know the luminaries move in their unique cycles above the flat plane? Yes. Yes, I know that. I don't know what they are, each of them. I mean, I'm assuming that they're pretty close to what we're told as far as the time. But, yes, I have. Another thing, if anybody, and this is going to sound crazy, I'm just saying this because I've had one other person report it. Miss and I thought we saw it one night, but we weren't able to confirm it, so we'll kind of ask it. If anybody's ever filmed or anything, stars moving, yeah, many people say, oh, it's just satellites. But sometimes I had one guy tell me that he's seen stars move and actually change direction. And there was one night, it was back when we lived at our other house, that Miss and I thought we saw that. And, of course, we didn't. We just shook it off and said, well, it must not be what we saw. But wondering if anybody else has seen that stuff. Sharon, don't understand Willie's experiment. Willie's experiment. I don't know. Thought jeranism is a flat earther. I am a flat earther. I believe the earth is a flat, yes. It's a plane. It's I don't know where it ends or anything like that, but are there any big flights in the southern hemisphere that would be hard to explain on a flat earth? Yeah, there is some, but I think that they're explainable. Certainly explainable. Don't understand Wolfie's experiment. Yours makes more sense. Okay, I'll explain that. Columbus Day. Change Columbus Day. Yeah, right. Thank you, Cindy. How come you don't live stream for 8 hours straight Russian vid style? I know, that guy's crazy. I get tired. Obviously, like I said, if you watched my video this morning, I said in there something about a t-shirt. I heard it back, and I just remembered that I was getting tired, and I probably fell asleep when I was recording it or something. I don't know. That's crazy. If you know how the luminaries move in their unique cycles, like what shapes do they make in their movements? They make ellipses. It depends. I think some of them do appear to go around the sun, and some of them appear to not. Hold on, let me get up here. Sorry. Shoot. What was the other one I was going to do? Oh, Wolfie's experiment. Let me explain that. So, I wish I could pause the chat. I guess you can't do that. Alba Gamer, do you really? That is shocking. Is that for real? Did somebody steal that account? There's no way Alba Gamer said that they apologized. They've called me every name in the book. But about Wolfie's experiment. So, if you think, my globe is it has its axis. I pointed the axis at the star. But when I turn the globe, it falls down the little axis pole. Not down towards its axis, but down towards the ground. So what happened is I started to turn the globe, the little laser that was on there was actually going down, if you're talking about down meaning towards the ground. So it would fall down, which was causing it to go offline. So I kept doing the test over and over again and kept coming up with no way to keep it on there. Well, of course there'd be no way if your globe isn't spinning. And, not to say I even believe what happens, because I think that it's impossible to keep, Wolfie's experiment kept the laser on the sprinkler head at the ceiling. That's fine. Imagine now 2.6 quadrillion miles. 2.6 quadrillion miles. I'm not showing anything, by the way. I'll put this up so I know what's up. 2.6 quadrillion miles. That's how far Polaris is. So the further you get away from something, the more precise you have to be. But the reason I had to concede in that test is because when I was doing the test, I thought it wouldn't even work for the ceiling because I couldn't get the laser to stay there. So I put the challenge out, like, we can't even get this laser to stay on the ceiling that's 10 feet above your head or 8 feet above your head. There's no way it can stay for something billions and billions of miles or quadrillions of miles. But when I was watching Wolfie's video, his response video, and he kept talking about how important the turn axis was and how important lining up the axis with Polaris was. So the second time I did the experiment, I made sure everything was lined up perfectly. And as I started to turn the globe, that's when I noticed that clearly there was a problem. That clearly what was happening was a result of the thing basically falling down, if for lack of a better word. So anyway, so I had to do the right thing, which was he actually did do what I said couldn't be done. So whether or not, it's not proof of anything other than what I said couldn't be done can be done. And if you're talking about on scales as large as 2.6 quadrillion miles, I don't think there's any chance in the world that it would stay on that star. There's just no way. It's just not possible. So basically, that's the story, and that's why I did that. So his experiment, as far as it not making sense, and then I've had other people say, well, you didn't require him to actually send that through a universe where we're going 66,000 miles and we're going around the sun. And I said, that's all irrelevant because I didn't ask for that. So that's what they call, if you're talking about fallacies, that's called moving the goalposts. You can't ask somebody to prove something, and then when they do, move the goalposts. I can't say, well, you can't do this, and then he does it, and then he said, well, then you can't do this. Oh, well, you didn't do this. That's called moving the goalposts. I'm not somebody like that. He clearly did exactly what I said couldn't be done, so therefore he did it. That's all there is to it. And as far as how the luminaries move, I think that they're just in circles around either the sun or the earth. Okay, let me keep going down here. Jaron, when the Titanic video coming? Really soon. It's on my list with two others. Well, it's halfway done, so is the other half one. But I want to get one out for Sandy Hook first, and then I'll do that one. Jaron, can you explain the sidereal day? Yes, it takes the stars 23 hours and 56 minutes to go around the Earth. That's the sidereal day. Let me see here. I'm going down a little bit more. And where are we at? Are we at the bottom? Hold on. I can't see these. Let's ask you. Okay, we saw that one. No, when I say to say my name, I meant jeranism. Sorry, it doesn't highlight when you say Jaron. But Alpha Gamer says, I apologize. I've seen stars move and change direction and took it for UFO. Really, Orphan Red, you saw that? I thought we saw it too. In fact, I've also seen a UFO. Maybe Jaron is a closet ball earther. Yeah, right. Yeah, I really think we live on a ball spinning in space that's full of water. Mm-hmm. Sure I do. Are you coming to Mad Mike launch? Yeah, I think the one at the beginning of August, I would love to go. That'd be awesome. Why are people saying you aren't? Oops, aren't what? I don't know. You guys are welcome to believe whatever you want. Whatever anybody says, believe it. I saw somebody that I thought was a good watcher, good viewer for almost 2 years, and he said, I'm so unsubbing from Jaron because he sells blood on his website, which means the person went to my website or didn't go and just heard somebody else say it. It says bat's blood and it's ink. So people can take a hike or whatever they want. I don't care. That if that's the kind of person that's following me, then that's the kind of person I don't want following me. If you hear just somebody else say Jaron sells blood and you've seen my videos for 2.5 years and you think that that is enough evidence to call into question everything I've done, even if I did sell blood, it's ridiculous. I've been stargazing and have seen stars through the moon. Fepe, you need to get pictures of that. People say that, but we don't have any evidence. Jeranism, do you believe Alex Jones is Bill Hicks? Yes, I do. That's just me. I think it's kind of clear. Just look up their dates. I mean, how can there be there's like no history of Alex Jones until 95. And then that's when it was a year after Bill Hicks died. It's pretty, I don't know. How do they know each other? How do they have the same agent? All those things are just interesting. If the Earth is spinning around the sun, time would get shorter and the sun would be slower as you near the center of spin at the poles. I don't know about that. Where are you getting that from? It sounds like you're mixing a little bit of their nonsense with relativity and stuff. The planets are wandering stars that follow the sun. Is the Earth flat? Yes. Oh, that is awesome. You got to watch that. The guy, Bogan Broom, put, is the Earth flat? ... Tommy Boyd. You guys got to listen to that. There's a conversation a guy had years ago on a radio It was so good. He just had people calling in telling him why the Earth is round, and he kept saying, no, that you don't have proof of that. Let's see. Jaron, do you think there are more stars or wandering stars beyond Antarctica if you go far enough south? I don't know. That'd be conjecture. I don't like to say either way on that one, because I do tend to think that there might be more, but I also don't like the idea of, to me, like if you start saying things like that, that's kind of what they wanted to do with the globe, right? They wanted us to believe in things that aren't here, because it kind of makes you say, oh, I don't want to be here, I want to be elsewhere, or whatever. And I think that the land we have here and the earth that we have is plenty. There's no reason, I mean, think about it, it's 2017. Think of all the agricultural and mechanical things that we've created. There's no reason why anybody should go to sleep at night hungry. There's no reason nobody should be homeless. It should be, you're born here and you get automatic home, you get automatic clothing, you get automatic food. That is clearly within the realms of possibility. Clearly, it can happen tomorrow. It's just we've got people who are filthy rich that have more money than they'll ever be able to spend, even if they handed it out to people. And that's a joke. That we're touring Saturn and Jupiter with our probes, and yet there's people who go to bed at night hungry. Are you proud of that? Are you proud of this race? I'm not. I'm not proud of that at all. I think it's a disgrace. We can explore space, go out there with your crafts all you want, when everything else on the Earth is done. You can think about colonizing Mars when you've perfected this planet. It's like they want to colonize Mars because they've trashed this one. Let's see here. Jaron, my sailboat is ready to go. Let's do some curvature tests. I got my P900 as well, plus a little dinghy. All right. Well, John, are you on the West Coast? I think Miss and I are going to do a test soon. We want to do a Bay Area hangout or a get-together or a meetup, whatever. But I was thinking about doing it at the beach and also coinciding with a laser test, just so everybody who goes can see what Miss and I saw that night. We're just trying to figure it out, because we also don't like to give out locations too early, because we've done that before and had some interesting things happen. So we're just trying to decide, how do you tell everybody where to be if you don't announce it too early. Jaron, why do flat earth proof videos always try and show the sunrise coming at you, starting far, far away, then getting smaller, getting larger as the sun comes up towards you, shrinking when setting? Why do they always try and show that? I think they're trying to show you what happens. I don't know really what you mean by that. If you're talking about, like, sometimes you see the sun set like a big disc behind the horizon line, you need to ask yourself, how many times is that actually done with a telephoto lens? There's lots of examples of what happens if you use a telephoto lens when you zoom in on things. That's like when you see those pictures of the big-ass moon rising and people are like, look how big the moon is. Well, that's with a telephoto lens. I don't know what you mean by, why do they show... Well, you're asking me that? Because I think that's what's happening. The sun is farther away from me. And it's like so obvious from where I'm sitting now. The window to my left looks east, and I watch the sunrise, comes up and sets on my right. But it clearly is going around me. I'm not spinning. Make a space-themed flat plane Earth game. They do. Go look. That's funny that you said that. Go look at Microsoft Flight Simulator. Look at the book, or the whatever they call it, the manual, and they use the flat Earth. That's what they use. Billy Bob, you stole my joke. I was going to say that, and I was like, that's probably rude, but yes, I'm going to go to Mad Mike's launch. How come the moon doesn't crash into the globe, Earth, when the Earth is moving towards it during its rotation around the sun? Yeah, you should actually see. What's really funny is I have a game for Steam called Universe. What is it called? Something Universe. Gosh, darn it. Let me go back to my other computer. What is that game called? Broken Universe or Universe Creation? Gosh, I don't know the name of it. Somebody will think of it. Anyway, when I play that game, if you get above the things and watch it's so funny because the moon has to race up to get past the Earth and then slow down as the Earth passes it. It's just nonsense. It doesn't happen. Let's see here. Trying to get through the rest of these. 9:30 I was going to be done. Flight simulators are flat Earth games. Absolutely. Because you can't. What are you going to do? Model it on a ball? Jaron, can you explain the sidereal day? I think I already did. Thank you so much. Geocentric Love. You're awesome. I don't know if you're the girl that I'm thinking of that was in one of my early videos. I don't know if that's you. I just remember a girl saying Geocentric Love. Does anyone here have legit believe in flat Earth? Yeah. Nope, nobody here. We all are just joking around, wasting time. Let's see here. Josh Bell. Okay, gonna keep going down here. Oops. Stupid scroll bar. How come the moon? Okay, I read that one. I think electromagnetism. Hey, Jaron, let's talk about the southern star trails. Do they exist? Yeah, I should probably end with that. Explain eclipses. Well, the moon gets in the way of the sun, and something puts its shadow on the moon. That's what it looks like. But again, I mean, if anybody's ever seen me show that image, you could look up, what's it called? Look up shuttle eclipse. Let me show, or shuttle shadow. That's what I was trying to say. Here, I'll show you. Let me go transition, just so, because it's the kind of thing when I say, think outside the box. Don't always just go with what they tell you. So we're gonna look up shuttle shadow, and when you see this, it'll help you understand better what. Oops, did I spell that wrong? Shuttle shadow. Okay, so like this. So this here is, believe it or not, is the moon, and the sun is behind you. So now you kind of understand what we're talking about. It's like a flat ceiling above you. There's a ceiling, and the light from behind you shining up, brightening that part of the smoke, but the shadow of that is existing on the ceiling all the way down to the moon. So when you look at that, then you should have a whole new perspective of what eclipses are. You just believe in a magical story of the Earth's shadow. I mean, how is the shadow of the Earth existing on the moon, which is, 30 Earths away? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. That shadow, though, there proves to me that the shadow is something else. So that's explaining eclipses. So now you got that. Well, you can't explain it, but I mean, it's not my job to explain things. I just don't agree with the current belief. It falls because it's more dense in there. Yes. I'm in Redondo Beach. I can see Catalina Island 27. Can you get some? I know, and actually my wife's been there, and she says that. The question there would be, how close to the beach are you? How high up are you? But I would love to see footage of that. You have to record all that stuff, because that's the stuff that'll come back to you. And again, yeah, obviously altitude makes a difference. So if you're at a 5,000-foot mountain, then you're going to probably see that. But if you're at the beach, then you shouldn't see that. Let's see here. Depends on its weight. What if you drop something lighter than air? Then it goes up. We know that. Jaron, let's definitely do a barium meetup. Yeah, it's coming up soon. Probably, my guess would be August, I guess. But we're trying to see how we're going to do that. No, gravity doesn't mean things will float. It just means that gravity is not the reason things fall. Yeah, correct. I mean, otherwise, gravity, they say, is the pull of two items with mass, and the Earth has mass, and a helium-filled balloon has mass, has weight, it has mass, yet they don't pull to each other. So it's like they agreed to let each other exist or something. I'm in the middle of the U.S. I see the sun and moon huge at setting every time. Really? We're like in the, where? I wonder if that's because it's dry and arid or what. No, you'd think that over the water should be bigger. Again, these are the kind of things, if you can get video of that, I want to see how big you're talking. Another thing to do would be that should be, I was going to say film it at the rising and setting. Another thing I was thinking, if somebody ever did this, if you were to film the sunrise and sunset, and you were the same distance away from, don't zoom in, don't zoom out, just leave it the same distance, one should clearly be quicker than the other. And I think they would both be the same. But if we're spinning away from, let me think now before I screw this up, we're spinning towards the rising. So the rising should be quicker. And we're spinning away from the setting. Or am I getting that backwards? But I think if somebody filmed that, we'd be able to see. I think they would be the exact same. Jaron eclipses. I did that. If the rich give money, then they will lose their power and enjoy the money. Yeah, that's exactly why they can't get rid of all of us, because who's going to build their fancy car? Let's see here. Keep going strong. Thank you so much, Geocentric Love. I'm not a flat earth hero. Let's do a barium meetup. Okay, good. There's a lot of people that want to do that. I want to do that for sure. I'm talking about Sigma Octantis star trails. Has anyone ever filmed this? Yeah, I think people, well, you don't film star trails. You mean that's a time lapse. But there is southern rotating stars. Yeah, that definitely does happen. Do they go around a certain star, like a point star in space? Doesn't seem like it. It seems like they go through they go around an empty spot. Nice geocentric love. He means it shows perspective instead of setting. It's going over in those. Jaron, why are the mods in Flat Earth live chats so power trippy? They are. Bill Hicks, Alex Jones. I don't know. Because it's a protection thing. People want to protect flat Earth from. There's a lot of people out there that just hate us for. They'll come in and just cause trouble all day long. So it gets to be a touchy situation. I've always been on the side of I'm going to let people just talk about whatever in my comments, and I change my mind about that. So, I see why they do it, but it's tough. Then go away. Go pretend you're spinning somewhere different. I hope that's not to me. I'm not spinning anywhere. What do you think about the occult origins of NASA through Parsons Crowley connections? Yeah, definitely. It's all occult. I mean, that's everything they do. Look at the name of every mission they've ever done. It's all occult. I don't think any of it is even true, really. I think that people can get caught up in different things that they think is true. Imagine if you were born, let's just say, and your mom and dad told you that you were specially picked by Satan to lead his brigade, and so they raised you under that belief. And then they told you that you pray to Satan, and he gives you power and riches or whatever, and then you pray to him, and you probably have the same results as if you prayed to the grass, or if you prayed to God, or whatever. If you pray, I think praying has more to do with being in line with the will and doing good and putting yourself in that position than just praying. So again, those people might have things happen and they think, oh, this happened because we pray to Satan and he gave us these gifts and we're rich because of it. And so then you've got a generation of people, or a generation in that family, that is operating under false pretenses. And again, they're going to have children, they're going to teach them that, and the whole thing could be a big lie. So I think they do have a cult. Obviously a cult beginnings. NASA was a cult from the very beginning. Just look at all their mission names, look at everything. They're Nazi scientists. Let's see. Same as MS Fly, used flat Earth. Sun moves, comes towards us. It should blue shift and appear more yellow, then red shift as it moves away and appear more orange. Isn't that what it does? It should blue shift and appear blue. That's interesting, because I do see in the morning. But I would think the same thing at night, so I'm not sure about that one. I'm down for the Bay Area meetup, Flat Earth meetup. Yeah, it's going to be coming up. I'll announce it on my channel and we'll get a bunch of people there. I think a bonfire would be cool. I'm not into spending money and doing that kind of stuff. So, a bonfire at a beach, and we can all watch Missa dance. So, let's see here. And the southern stars prove there is a dome. I wouldn't go that far yet. I would say the southern stars prove that there is an atmosphere. That's what I would say so far. I love my inner demon. It's making me filthy rich. Yeah, exactly. I will tag you on Facebook with some of the footage I have in California Sun and Moon. That'd be awesome, Josh. Thank you. Let's see here. If the Earth is flat, where's the edge? Well, the Earth is all there is, in my opinion, until we find more. So I don't, it's the same thing as if a space believer, if you ask them where's space end, they're okay with saying that is, they don't know, but they don't allow you to say that about the Earth. The Earth is all that we know. So, let's see here. We need a Bob Marley quote about money and numbers for Justin. Would people just fall off? Would people not fall off? No, I don't think you can get there. Let's say that there is an edge. Well, I think that Antarctica gets so cold to the point where even electronics and everything electromagnetic wouldn't work. Therefore, you could not fly a plane, you could not drive a car, you could not operate machinery, so you would never get there. Great minds like chat. Hey, Jason, how are you? Jason's awesome. He's there at the chat room of every Monday Night Raw. He's a loyal listener. Beach afternoon would be great. I think so too. Nice. Bob, you can't come. You're outlawed. Sorry. Yeah, Suez Canal, definitely. I think the big one, I don't know. Oh, you guys haven't heard the conversation yet. Gosh, it made me so mad that they don't release that yet. So, as I said, and I'll finish with this, but I don't see any other questions. David and I did a debate with, and we didn't even know it was a debate. David just called me and said, hey, you want to go on this radio show? They're going to do a NASA show and a SpaceX show and a Flat Earth show. Do you want to go on? I'm like, yeah, I would love to. So when we got there, they're introducing us, and they're like, all right, it's David and Jaron on the Flat Earth side, and on the other side, here's a NASA scientist and a SpaceX scientist and a teacher. Where I was like, what the hell? We didn't know that was what we were getting into. But when you see the video, you'll see that they didn't do too well. But one of the things that he said when I was talking is I told him about the plane of, or not the plane, the lake, which is called Lake Bilal. What's create the moon phases? The moon phases are created by, I guess, its connection to the sun. I don't know if it's a reflection or if it's charging, but it certainly coincides with the sun. Did you figure out curve per mile? You don't want to hear my answer on that one, but it's, in my opinion, as of right now, I'd say it's either 1 mile per mile or 0.318 miles per mile. Don't know which one. Certainly not 8 inches per mile. There would be no magnetic field if the Earth was flat. That is completely wrong. There would be no magnetic field if the Earth was a ball. Where's the magnet? The magnet's running all the way through the Earth? Why does my compass work? Why is it not pointing down at the magnet? Doesn't make sense. What is the elite's excuse for the phases of the moon when it's almost straight or when the shadow is convex and they say it's a... No. Somebody tell Joe Nobody, we need to get that out there, that the shadow on the moon for moon phases is not the Earth. So, gotta look into. There's videos all over YouTube. Just look up phases of the moon. You believe something that's not. They don't even believe. How high can rockets go? Is there a dome? I don't know. I don't think so, and I think that we wouldn't know how high they can go, because they don't operate at a certain height. There's no air. There's nothing to operate off of. So what was I saying? It lost me. Damn it! I had something I was talking about. I lost it. What was I saying? Let me go up here. Maybe I'll find it again. I think the other guy what creates moon phases. I saw that one. Shoot. I don't remember what I was talking about. It was good, I thought. Okay, that guy said he was tagging me on Facebook. Then Bob interrupted me. And then Mike Helmick, he's awesome. Check out his channel. Let's see here. That video is about your topic, stars. Okay, I'll check it out. Thanks, Bob. Sup all, people die in a vacuum. Well, he certainly doesn't keep the atmosphere attached to the Earth. Oh, there'd be no magnetic field. Did you figure out curve per mile? What creates moon phases? What's the elite's excuses for the phase? Yeah, so Joe, that's not their excuse, actually. They think that these phases of the moon, which is not correct either, don't get me wrong, that it's not the sun's reflection, because you can just look at this moon and see that that's not what it is. It's not from their explanation either. Okay, so how high can rockets? I already said to that one. What was your opinion in the concave Earth and geodetic survey, like the Tamarack mine? Yeah, but that reclinator, they tried to redo that and it didn't work. So, moon looks like a ball to me. Jason, did you see the beginning of the show? Here, I'll show you. Let me show you something. 1 second. Getting this set up for you. Okay, so let's see here. Close this. Overlay me. Okay. Shoot. Alright, there we go. Oh, damn it. Sorry. That didn't work right. I don't have a black background now. I threw that thing away somewhere. Where did I put it? Maybe that'll work. Yeah, we'll get it like that. Yeah, so anyway, I'll just show you this like this, and it's just kind of obvious now. It wasn't obvious before, but if you saw that, you might say, yeah, that's the ball moon. That's the moon, it's a ball, but it's actually just a flat plate. So, see that? Yep. All right, and I was going to show you one more time this piece here, which I think is crazy. Let's see here if this does it on here. Okay, yeah. Okay, so watch carefully here. This is a white sheet and the little dome thing here, right? See it? Okay, so there's the dome thing, and let me actually get rid of this thing. All right, so we're looking at a white half dome, okay? And I'm just putting the camera on top of it. There we go. Okay, so imagine that there is the Earth underneath there. Now watch when I start moving it this way. I'm just pulling it down towards me, and you're going to see that line there. See that line there? And so you can kind of see that if we were in a area with blackness, which I'm not saying space is white, but now I'm putting this book behind here. Oops. There we go. Okay, now if we do it, so now I'm going to pull it back. So there's the white ball, and we're pulling it back, and you're going to see, okay, so that looks like what to you? And look at what we're looking at. We're looking at the straight across black. It's flat. It's a flat table, flat book, but when I put this on top of this little dome thing and we start pulling it back, well, look how bent it is. So you see that so when we see the curvature, which they're calling the Earth, now I think it is not. I think it's because of the atmosphere. This is what we're seeing. So when Dwayne's balloon goes up and we see that black curve in the background, and again, if this wasn't true, then wouldn't we see stars? Why don't we see stars here? Well, I don't think the stars exist in space. The stars exist in the atmosphere. So the NASA cannot show you stars because there's not any stars. If they're above the atmosphere, who knows? See that? Curved. So, and again, that's just flat ground. There's nothing curved about it, except for the atmosphere, which is the reason I like this little dome thing here. Is it is in and of itself a representation of the Earth. So if you kind of picture, let me see, I'll shine a couple of these on there. If you picture, that we have no other representation to show us what an atmosphere would be like, but this kind of dome does give us a little bit of a idea. Let me see here. Can you see that dot? Okay, this closer. All right. Oops, I gotta move this way. Sorry. So I'm going to show you this. All right. So, oh God, now it's too high. Get up there. There we go. A little higher. All right. So, see, it's not good because the actual CD case is those cuts. But if you do this on like a blank wall, and if you kind of look at this, this is what we see when we zoom in and see stars. This is what we're seeing. And actually, the dirtier I dirty up this ball, I'm going to kind of rub it with my finger, the more you get, and it might not show on this black thing, but the more we were seeing actual, get down there. And see that cloud behind there? Let me get this way so you can see it. And then if we change this, let me show you a different color. Anyway, I think that it's something you should buy because they are, the amount of things you can do with it, they look like stars. Let me put it on the white background instead, hold on. There we go. Because that black has ridges and things. Okay, so like this one here, when you start playing with this, get this one on, oops. It sucks. Next time I set this up, I'll do it so that I can, right now it's behind me, so I'm turning around to do it, and then I have to turn back around to see what's on the computer. Come on, get up here. Okay, there we go. And yeah, so see, I don't know if you can really tell. See, what I'm showing on the computer is not at all what I'm seeing here. Because like the top part, there's no color. There's only color. You can kind of see that shadow. See that shadow? On the top, looks like there's a V shadow. That's what I see when we zoom in on stars sometimes. We're seeing a V shadow. And it looks like somebody's holding it. See how it looks like somebody's hand is connected to it? Also, that's something interesting. Look at the shadow. Watch me see this shadow eclipsing that. It's not low enough. Hold on. Get down a little bit. It's kind of interesting because this dome itself here was eclipsing the light. That's interesting too. That looks like the pictures of mountains. Hold on. See if I can get that again. Oh wow. So now I'm tripping out. I don't see that in real life, but I see it on the computer. What is that? Wow. This is crazy. When I'm seeing on the computer and then I'm turning and looking at what it's doing, that's only seen on the computer. That's weird. Interesting. And now this one. Okay. Now see if we got close to that. Oops. Yeah, next time I'll do this better so I can't see both because I can't, it's behind me. So I'm having to turn and look. Look at that one there. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, someone that does this kind of has that reflection to it. And then I'm just spinning it. If you take this, let me tell you this one here. See if this, can you see this ball? Nope. Nope. Let me try this. I can't really show it. Anyway, you'll have to, and if I could show you this stars thing, I don't know why that wasn't working earlier. Maybe I'll try that before we go, but let's see here. Actually, I'll probably set it up better, and then next time we'll do it, because what I want to do is get it over here in front of me, so I can see both, not behind me. That wasn't the best thinking. So anyway, you're seeing a disturbance in the force. Yeah, and it actually looked like a second ago that you could actually see the eclipsing itself. So, does that make any sense? Yeah, see, the hard part about that is we're looking from the outside, and I'm not sure that would be, you can't call something from the outside unless we say the sun. Well, I guess that the source sun would be on the outside. Anyway, get one of those if you want. I'm sure you can find them cheaper than places on Amazon. But so far, it seems like everything is inside that. Well, my wife is texting me. Oh. Yeah, so, and I guess I could show that again. Oh, we already showed that. We showed that, and I'm not sure the other one why it wasn't working, because I got to figure out what to do about the reflections. Oh, you know what I'll do? I bet it'd be better on my phone. Let me try that. Hold on 1 second. Because the iPad seemed to be too big. Because you have to remember, what we're trying to do is, you can't put that little dome thing on a big iPad, because now what you're saying is that the atmosphere is sitting and the sky is way bigger than the atmosphere. You have to try and get equal sizes down, meaning the atmosphere should be about equal to the sky. So I'm going to try it on my iPad. On my iPhone right now. 1 second. Let me look up this video. Get those star trails going, and we'll see if it does anything. Okay, I don't know what that person's talking about. Let's see here. Go this way. And where is my videos? Library. And what? My videos. And you won't see it. It's private, so don't, if you go looking for it. It's just a video I made for myself. All right, so now I've got this on here. And let's try it. Okay, got that on there. Let me see. Okay, give me a second because I can't look in both directions. Oh, let me turn this way. And also, if your table's not straight, it slides because the glass is super slidey. 1 second. See, I don't even know where it's getting that reflection from. Hold on. And you see that thing on the side there, okay? Let me see. You don't. Man, there's too much reflection in here. I wonder if turning the light on would help. Because I can't. I'm just seeing reflection. You can kind of see it there, but I can see it, but I don't see it on the computer screen. Nope, see, that's my reflection on my computer screen. Hold on. I have to move this over. I have to make sure there's no reflections because nothing else is being seen. Put that over there. This here. Okay, let me try it out. Okay, there. Now I can see it. See, the computer can't. Shoot. Hold on. Move this way. There. See, it's crazy because I can see it, but I can't get it to show. Let me see here. That's why I tell you, get your guys' self one, because right here, so when I'm looking from where I'm at, maybe I need to zoom back and show it the whole thing. Maybe you'll see it too. Let me see from here. Okay, maybe I'm pulling it back here. And let me see if I can see what I see. Yeah, see, now you can see, okay. So if I pull it back, you can see what I see. Okay, look at what we're looking at is the back. So like if this is a clock, you're looking at 12 o'clock. Okay, so pretend that this is a clock. And if you look at 12 o'clock, you'll see this secondary circle. Hold on, let me get over here a little bit more. Let those clouds go by, and okay, there. See the secondary circle? And that those stars are going the other way. It's just when I get close to it, I'm not seeing it. Let me see this way. See, now there's too much reflection. There, you can kind of see it there. Oh, wait, no. Maybe a little bit more under. Come on, come on, come on, focus. That cloud you see is actually in the video. Up there, right there. Come on. Hold on. Oh, you know what else I just realized? There's a light on this camera that's causing a problem. See that light? Let me see this one. Next time, because we did it with my iPhone. That's the thing for the video. So I'm wondering, just this is like a little webcam, a little, what is this, HP something? But it's not showing it well. Stay there. See, all I see is reflection there. Okay, see that blue light? That blue light is from the camera itself. So it's not helping anything. Get down there. There we go. Yep, this is not a good job. I'll have to figure out another way to show it. This webcam is not, and it's auto-focusing, which isn't helping me. And then we turned it like this, remember before, and then we were just showing that. Now I'm just putting it on top and kind of sliding it down, and we'll see that even though it's flat, we're going to get the, well, that's the whiteness behind it, obviously, with my sheet. But I think this looks more like Earth to me, what we see from planes or whatever, or I mean balloons. If we get up high enough, I think we're seeing this, and people are saying this is a curve, but clearly there's no curve here. What you're seeing is this white sheet behind it, and you're seeing it get eclipsed here like this, and that's what's happening. So this is what we see. Watch, I bet you if we go look, we'll look before we go. But just keep an eye on this, keep watching this. This is just because the camera's on the outside of the atmosphere, and it's being blocked by it. All right, so we're inside it, and then here, and then we can turn it this way and this way. Okay, so watch this right here, and we'll kind of pretend like this is there. Oops, about there. There. I don't know if this thing's not lining up. There we go. Okay, so right there. Oops. Keep slipping. Okay, so kind of keep an eye on what that looks like. Okay. Get that idea in our minds, what that's doing. And then what we'll do is we're going to go look at, real quick here, overlay browser. And I bet you it'll give us a new mindset of the ISS live Ustream. Oops, don't worry, I'm switching for you. Browser transition. Here we go. Yeah, see, I mean, to me now it's just obvious as could be. Don't know about you guys, but that is... Where's the other videos? There. If they show the one from the top... Because this is just a turned camera anyway. What is that? Weird. Is this the HD one or the other one? This must be HD or something. Social Live, ISS Stream. Usually there's other channels. Let me get their other view, the one that's from on top, which is usually called ISS HD. Let me see this one. Look at that. Did we not just see this? Yeah, I'm positive. There's no way. This is exactly what they're doing. It's just the view through the atmosphere, I think. If this is real, that's where they're getting it from. I'm so convinced. I mean, now I can't even see how it might be a ball. It's clearly not. It's not what a ball would do. Absolutely proof positive to me. I mean, that is exactly what I can recreate now. So to me, it makes more sense than we live on a ball. Because where's the atmosphere? Where's the parallax? Where's, I mean, the refraction? It makes no sense. They tell us that there's refraction, but it doesn't exist when we're in space. And that's the most amount of refraction we would see. We're from there's the least dense place, and we're looking through water right now. Where's all the refraction? All the stars should be lifted up. They should be at the horizon there. The sun should pop up and be above the horizon because it lifted it up and put it up there. None of that stuff happens. That right there is clearly not a ball. Clearly not a ball. So I don't know about everybody else, but it's not a ball. That is a result of either looking through atmosphere or a flat plane that is added a layer to. I don't, it's just not it's not a ball, period. So we'll keep exploring that. I mean, this tells me everything. Where's the stars? Well, you don't have them there because they're not there. The stars are rendered in the atmosphere. They're not rendered out here. That's why you don't see them out here. That's why you didn't see them on any NASA moon landing or moon launch. It's so clear. It's really evident. They can't do it. They can't. And if they know if they faked it, that people could go and check them, and they don't want that. If the Earth is flat, could it be caused by water? Do you believe in God? The Earth was absolutely a creation. It's been created by a mind far more intelligent than all of our minds put together, in my opinion. So I think if you look at the history of the world, it is a collection of people trying to describe that mind, that creator. And we should be getting better at it, and we're really not. It's a lot of people still want to believe the same thing people 3,000 years ago believed. Let's see here. Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys. Hey, that's Joe Nobody. Yeah, well, go do your own research. I mean, these things didn't come to me until I did things myself and did tests with the laser experiment. I've got another test that we want to do, and I wanted to mention something else. And you can write this down if you want, but I'll actually type it in right here. But this, I mean, come on, this is not a ball. I mean, just think, if there's buildings here and there's buildings and building, that then they're on the other side of the ball, facing that way away from us and further down. That's not a ball. This is things coming into view as they would, as we did in this experiment over here, showing how it was on the atmosphere as we bent it back. Then we saw this little dip. Well, there's things beyond that, and they're coming in to your view of sight. See, it's like a conveyor belt. Picture a conveyor belt coming towards you. Those things are just out of your line of sight. That's too far for your circle of sight. They're not on the other side of a ball. This is not what a ball would look like at all. In fact, yeah, man, now the more I look at it, how could this even be a ball? That's not what it would look like. We should be way higher. Why are we down below looking uphill? Oh, God. They've done it for me now. The more I get, the more ammo I get, I'm just like, these guys are dumb. I mean, they're fooling the world with word salad. What I was going to say is, you can go to this, if you read at the bottom of the screen, there's like these headline news, right? All these little things I wrote. But if you go to bit.ly/tickerism, TICKERISM, you'll find this Google document that has all of them listed. And I've got them saved, so don't be a jerk and erase them. It'd be a waste of your time. But if you go in here, fill these out. Take one yourself, write whatever funny thing you want. And they don't go right up. I'll check them first, but it does pull from this file once I've saved it somewhere. And so it would be cool to have other people write some news things down here. They should just be satire and funny and about space and the Earth being completely not what they taught us. And from there, you can, so this way people can contribute, write whatever you want down here, make it something funny. But satire, because it does say at the beginning that it's satire, so people hopefully don't think anything down there is true, although it all has its own little separate truth, right? So, write them and they'll get into the mix. So that'd be fun. So that's it. bit.ly/tickerism, TICKERISM. And we're going to be talking about the meetup coming up soon. And I thought there was one other thing. Let me see. Did I write anything down? I don't think so. And then check out tomorrow. I really like talking with Curious Jay. He's doing a lot of research on his own. Star trails and things. I don't have a camera that does star trails, so I can't do that. I don't have a P900, so I just got my camera which doesn't do them, but I do have a GoPro which does time lapse but not star trails. So anyway, we have been enjoying that and looking at the sky, and I suggest you do too, because it is not at all what they told us, and that's something I'm confident in. And could I be wrong? Sure, but for my dollar, everything I'm looking into tells us we've been lied to on a grand scale. And appreciate you guys watching. Let's go back here and see. Yeah, that's because the sun's setting. Makes a lot of sense. Don't know how people believe this anymore. But it takes time. I mean, really, it's 2.5 years. Let's go here. Let's look at this little rise, I think, or set or something. What's going on here? Hello? Hello? Nope, of course. Blue screen. Yeah, that looks real. I mean, this is just ridiculous. This is your picture of your Earth. Thank you for giving us $52 million a day. Here's what we give you. These images. Yeah, I mean, this to me is just nothing's going beyond this curve. This is not what a ball would look like if you're on top of a ball. Get on top of a basketball or something with a camera and move the camera up and tell me if this is what you see. This would be like you're behind the basketball. Right? Anybody else see that? Picture this as a basketball. And they tell us we're always at the top. Is this what you would see? You know, to me, this is like you're looking from behind it up. This is not what you would look like at a bat. You should be down. Yeah, none of it makes sense to me anymore. I don't know what they're trying to pull, but this looks like a conveyor belt. The conveyor belt is moving that way. The plane is flying this way. Gosh, things look more clear to me every day. This is a high-altitude plane. It's flying in this direction. And either it's really, really high to the point where the atmosphere is causing this bend, or they're doing it artificially. That I don't know. What I do know is it's not what you see. And so if they ever send people up, and this might be what they're thinking about doing, if they ever send people up high enough to see this, they have to fake it. So they're going to either, I don't know. I don't think people are up here. That's the thing. These people are not in here. This is just a high altitude plane, either a drone or something. Maybe they can get, I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it, because this certainly, to me, looks nothing like a ball. Nothing at all. Alrighty. Alright, my wife's calling me. I told her I'd watch TV tonight, so I'm going to go do that. And was there something else that we were supposed to do? I don't think so. Alright, guys, be kind to each other. Don't lie. And, oh yeah, I'll just finish off by saying the problem that I'm seeing is that when I put out a video, I'm making a point to say that I'm not saying that anything is true. I'm not saying that there's a dome. I'm not saying that we live in a glass half dome. I'm not saying that there's any kind of glass in the sky. I'm not saying that the sun is rendered through a laser pen. I'm not saying that the sun is but a light. I don't know those things. I don't know. So if anybody says all those things to you, and maybe I'll just clip this part out and put it in a video. I don't know. Okay, but the people who are telling us that they know have a hard time producing evidence and answering questions. And that is a problem. And you are allowed to think what you want. When I look at this and say, this does not look like a ball, that's my prerogative. I absolutely have every permission to say that. And YouTube allows a avenue for people to voice their opinions, and that's what I'm doing. So my hope is that by pointing some stuff out, this half dome thing, when Jay showed it to me, I was like, oh, interesting. And then he showed it with the spiral behind him, and he was like spinning the spiral, looking through that half dome, and I'm like, dude, you're getting other spirals on the other side. And we kept looking at that. When he sent mine, it became very clear that that could easily be what's happening. If you're looking, it only happens when you're looking through the dome piece to the outsides, and they render as circles going the opposite direction. So it's hard to show here. I'm gonna have to figure out why it was, but next time we'll either do it live, or maybe I have to live from the iPhone, something like that. But certainly the biggest problem I have is that I'm not like the guys like Wolfie or those guys, that they are saying that they know the truth. Okay, go watch Cool Hard Logic's videos, and he will tell you he knows the truth. He knows exactly how the Earth works. Everything's done by geometry. It's perfect. It's it's exactly as we've been told. People have discovered everything that there is to discover, and you're an idiot if you question it, and that's not science. And when we show that they're clearly wrong in certain areas, talk about moving the goalposts, they just skip it and go on to something else. But the difference is we're not the ones saying we know this or that. And when we are, you are free to believe whatever you want. And I am free to believe whatever I want. Okay, but I'm not telling anybody like, hey, you have to believe me. Hey, I'm going to put this in school books. Hey, I'm going to teach this to your children. Hey, go tell everybody else that I know the truth and they don't. Nothing like that. Nothing like that at all. In fact, the only reason I even started making videos because I thought it would be interesting to tell people my thoughts and see if other people had the same opinion. And that was the start. And when we started doing that, other people said, keep going. I don't have time to research this stuff. I don't have time to look into it. Keep researching, keep doing experiments, keep doing tests. And we love doing it. I mean, there's nothing, I've learned more about where I live in 2 years than I would have ever learned in my life. And I've learned about a lot of lies. Mostly everything that makes up the fabricated idea of a globe Earth. And really, if you just think about it, I think you'll be shocked if you really look into yourself, and I mean really, and this is one of the hardest things for people to do. We all live like a fake life. or at least I did for 35 years, to where you aren't really presenting yourself as who you truly are, and you're afraid to say your true feelings, and you're afraid to be called names, and you're afraid to not be accepted. And at a certain point, when you've been lied to your whole life, it just becomes not important. And I thank God for my wife, because she's been hugely important in that, and that I'm not sure I could have gone through this alone. It helped to have that one person with you that you knew had your back no matter what, and allowed you to open your mind a little bit and venture a little bit further than society wants you to. And when you do that and you really examine yourself, you'll realize that your entire life has been screaming at you that the earth is flat, that the sun is close, that the sun moves through the sky, not you, that the stars are close, that you're an important part of a massive creation that is beyond the mind of any human for sure. So, it isn't so much about let's figure out who God is and what he wants, because I think that was put inside you. I think we know who God is. It's the collection of everything that is. It is the mind behind it all. And just think of how this world operates and how perfectly it has to in order for us to live. The universe is perfect for our existence for a reason. And it's obvious. You just have to allow yourself to say, okay, let me just forget for a second everything that everybody's ever told me and just go with what I feel inside me. And when I started doing that, I realized some things, and why I realized the church wasn't true and why Catholicism wasn't true. And because, the church told me growing up that having sex before marriage was a sin. And I've had sex before marriage and numerous times. And when I did, and I didn't care about the person, and it was for my pure enjoyment and pleasure, and those things you felt like a dirtbag. You felt terrible. And then when I cared about the person and, spent time with them and actually liked them, and then had that moment, it felt great. And you felt good about it. And then you realize, well, wait a second. So they just tell me that, sex before marriage is a sin. And if you do it, then you're a sinner. But I started learning, what I think you can tell yourself, you know when something is wrong, whether you fight it or not. There's people out there, that guy Glenn made a whole video about how he wouldn't have known that stealing was wrong. He wouldn't have known that you couldn't tell lies if it wasn't for the Bible. And to me, that's the biggest joke I've ever heard. That is saying that men taught you everything you know. You are trusting in men. You are a believer in men. And for me, no. I don't trust men. They lie to you. They try and get power over you. They will fool you at every corner. They will cut they're liars. Men have perverted everything. Everything that was ever good, they've somehow perverted. And they're spraying the skies now, and they're vaccinating your kids, and they are killing you with medicines, and they're killing our food, and they've damaged all the agriculture. Everything. The water's all tainted. You name it, men has corrupted it. But the one thing that you can protect from corruption is yourself. So when I look inside myself, I say, okay, when I feel good about something and I'm doing it for the right reasons, and you're contributing to the will of God, that's what I guess I would call it, then good things happen to you. And when you do bad things, you may get away with it a time or two, but karma will come back around. It'll get you. And if you really look at the earth, everything is screaming to you. Your senses, which save your life every day. When you cross the street, you drive a car, you do anything. If you didn't have your senses, you would die. If you couldn't see where you're walking, you would walk into a pool. If you couldn't, smell things, you might not know that there's mold in your house, or might not know that food has gone bad, or there's so many things that save your life with your senses. They don't fail you. Yet we're taught that they do. So I still am challenging somebody, show me an example of when my senses fail me. Not when you're trying to trick me. That's not your senses failing. My senses don't fail me when you tell me to count the number of times somebody dribbles a basketball, and then you tell me after that a monkey walked by behind. Well, great. Then you should have told me to watch out for a monkey, because you told me to watch the basketball. That's what I was watching. That's tricking your senses. But they tell us, they just do those tricks because they want to tell you that the sun is 93 million miles away. And they want to tell you that it's 1 million times the size of the earth. And they want to tell you that stars are 25 trillion miles. And they know that if you use your senses, you'll tell them they're freaking liars. And people got afraid of doing that. They're so afraid of academia. And believe me, it does suck. I'm not saying it doesn't suck. I've said before, and I'll say it again, I wish that I was on Team Globe. I wish I didn't care about the truth and that my job was just to go around and beat flat earthers, because how easy would that be? You just repeat the word science, you show them Wikipedia articles, and you say it's already been discovered, dude. We've known for thousands of years. It's right. It's easy. What do you mean? That curve that you just showed me? That's because it's a ball. Yeah, the sun, yeah, it's 93 million miles away because we measured it, dude. Where's your measurement of the flat earth sun? Where's your measurement of the flat earth moon? Where's your map? Okay, that is an excuse for stupid people to sound smart, look smart, and defer everything that they know to some other person. And that's fine. If you're okay with that, enjoy yourself. For me, I would rather know what I'm talking about. I would rather believe things because I've done the research myself and come to those conclusions. And when I'm trying to research this globe, I'm not finding any conclusions that are come to because I came to them. I'm finding things that you have to believe because someone else says to. And I don't think that's the way you're supposed to live life. So to me, it's better just to take my senses as they tell me. There's nothing that tells me that sun is stationary in the sky. Not a thing. And 95% of this world believes it. Pretty sad, because they just believe it because somebody else told them. They were taught at such a young age, and I feel bad for them. It's not their fault. I believed it too. How do you not? You can't come out of 6th grade or 5th grade and not believe in the globe. That's how disgusting this whole thing is. These guys are liars. They may not know that they're lying, but they're teaching lies and telling lies, and it's, how do we fix this? It's going to take everybody. And I've also mentioned this before. The one thing that would fix this whole world? One thing. It'd be to get rid of the media. That's how we would do it. That the media has been responsible, not their fault. They were bought and purchased and everything. But the media is the one thing that needs to remain. If I were in charge, I would redo the whole idea of taxes, and everybody on earth would put money in, and those taxes would go to the media. And this way they couldn't be bought and purchased because they're making money. They're making money from taxes. We all put in our money, and those people go around and investigate, research. Then you wouldn't have these false flags. Where's the media? Where's people following up with these families and children from Sandy Hook? Where's that? Where are these people going out and looking for the death records for the people that died in Orlando? Where's the people going out and looking for the death records of the 2 that died in San Bernardino? Where's the person exposing the fact that the uncle of the 2 kids that died that did the bombing at Boston is in the CIA? Where's all these actual real investigators? Where's the people looking into 9/11, not the ones giving us tapes that were pre-recorded and contrived with CGI? That's the problem, is that the media, it was bought and purchased a long time ago. The United States noticed that. They said, that we can have people believe whatever we want just by simply putting it in the media. And how many people do you think are home right now? It's 10:23. I'd say 70% of people at their houses that live close to me right now are sitting there watching mainstream news. That's what they're doing. And so, of course, they're getting whatever the corporate leaders of this world want them to get. Whatever they want them to believe is being fed to them on a silver platter. Here's your 10 o'clock news. Here's your TV programming. Enjoy yourselves. And that's what the world has become. It's become a corporate nightmare of corporations who want more money, and of businesses who want more money, and of politicians who are bribed by money. And that's what we have. That's what you'll get when that's the kind of world you live. And it's not going to be, you can't just fix one thing. I mean, I say about the media, I'm saying you could, but I'm saying you can't just fix global warming. You can't just fix this one little office that's wrong. You can't just fix FEMA. You can't just fix the FBI. You can't just fix the CIA, because the whole thing is garbage. The whole thing is corrupt, and that's why I say the media could fix it, because the media can start exposing these liars and these false flags and this nonsense. And again, do I know that all those things are false flags? What I know is different. You can believe whatever you want, and I will respect you and every one of your beliefs as long as you can tell me that you've researched that subject. My mom's husband, I was asking him one time a couple months ago about Sandy Hook, and he said, "Oh, you're not one of those crazy people." And I said, "Well, hold on a second now." I said, "Have you looked into it?" And he said, "Why would I look into it? People who believe that Sandy Hook was a hoax are crazy." And so that person, I do not respect that person. I do not respect that opinion to call other people crazy when you yourself have not done the research. If you do 8 hours worth of Sandy Hook research and you come to the conclusion that the story that they tell is the truth, If you think that teacher went in that bathroom with 15 students, if you think all these things that we're told are the truth, then, that's fine. As long as you've done the research, we can have differing opinions. I don't mind people who have differing opinions. But I do mind when you are calling people names and you have not done the research. Because if you do the research, you shouldn't be afraid of it. What are you going? These people are so crazy. Then do the research, and you're going to find out that they have crazy beliefs. But when you do the research and you find out there's no helicopter, where's the helicopter? Oh, we didn't call anyone. Oh, where's the ambulances? Oh, when did the coroner come and get the body? Oh, not till the middle of the night. Oh, how many parents got to see their child after they were dead? Oh, 0. So who confirmed them all dead? Oh, the coroner at the school, and it didn't let any EMTs in within 20 minutes. No, sorry. You can believe that all you want. You need to look at the whole case and ask yourself, did everything go as normal? Oh, wait, they were having a drill a day earlier? We got a problem. An active shooter drill in a school, a town away? Problem. Sorry, it's just, you need to be able to ask those questions and trust yourself, because otherwise you're a product of the state. You're exactly what they want you to be. Sorry, I rambled. I'm going. Be kind to each other. Don't lie. And open your mind. There's truth inside. So till tomorrow night on Raw, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock Pacific time. It's been fun, guys. Be good. Peace.